McConnell flew to China, and she had a meeting with the vice president of China. So there's a lot of craziness going on. And Scott Jennings on CNN, I want to share this video with you guys, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Scott Jennings said something on CNN last night that I just don't believe. I'm going to play this for you, and you ask me if you believe it, not just because of the words, but the expressions on his face. And is he going through a makeover? He's growing a beard. Is that some new hair coloring he's got? I don't know. He's growing a beard and he looks a little thinner. It's important to understand before I play this clip. Scott Jennings came up through the ranks of politics through Mitch McConnell, and he also worked for George W. Bush when he was president. So, I like Scott Jennings. He does great work on CNN, filleting these liberal idiots. But his mentor was Mitch McConnell, and he worked for President George W. Bush, which tells you that he's an establishment Republican kind of guy who's going through some type of makeover here, which is kind of odd. So after all these things happened with Mitch McConnell, including Laura Loomer, who has an accuracy rate of 100% in her reporting, saying that Mitch McConnell was brain dead this week. Last night, this is Scott Jennings on CNN.
Yeah, he called me this morning.
Now that he is Mitch McConnell, so he received a phone call. He received a phone call from Mitch McConnell yesterday morning.
Yeah, he called me this morning before I did my radio show. We talked for about 17 minutes. Yeah, he talked a lot about the situation with Iran. Talked a little bit about Ukraine and what's going on in Europe. I told him I'd been to the Roosevelt Library. We talked a little bit about the history of the vice presidency and how Roosevelt had transformed that in the modern presidency, a little history of the Senate. It was a wide-ranging conversation. I talked to him often. I hadn't talked to him since he'd been in. I'd gotten a few text messages from him, but I hadn't spoken to him. So it was good to hear his voice. Voice sounded strong and sounded like he was keeping up with the news to me.
Did you ask him how he was feeling?
Yeah. I said he was feeling okay. Obviously well enough to call me on the phone, and obviously well enough to talk to Barrasso and Thune. Now, look, I'm not qualified to discuss any medical issues or give you any information about that. That's really for him or his staff to do. But I talk to him from time to time, and I see him from time to time. And we had a conversation today about the things that we normally talk about, which are news today, political stuff.
Did you come away feeling like he's still capable of serving the people as senator?
I came away feeling that he was staying on top of the news. Again, look, his condition and why he's in the hospital or when he might come out, or look, that's.
Do you know why, and are just saying you're not at liberty to share?
I do not know why. I only know, frankly, what has been reported or what his office has said. So it was a personal, private call, but I didn't probe him too deeply for his medical record.
Okay. Do you believe Scott Jennings here? I do not. And this bizarreness over 17 minutes, what an odd number. And the look on his face, I am thrown off a bit through this facial makeover that he's going through. Growing the beard, he looks thinner. He looks a little younger. So I don't know if he's had some cosmetic work done. Is his hair less gray? I don't know what's going on here during this makeover. But, and knowing that Scott Jennings comes from the establishment, came up through the ranks through Mitch McConnell, mentored by Mitch McConnell, an advisor to Mitch McConnell, and also worked for George W. Bush. See, the thing with Mitch McConnell in the hospital, here's how it works, guys. He's not running for re-election. So there is going to be a new senator from Kentucky in January. Who that'll be, it's not important right now. However, if Mitch McConnell resigns or dies in office or has no ability to serve, brain dead is Laura Loomer, who has a 100% accuracy rate in her reporting, has reported this week. What happens? Well, this is what happens. Every state is different. This is how Kentucky operates. Okay, so right now we're in July. We're kind of in the beginning of July. We're at the end of the beginning of July, right? We're approaching mid-July. If Mitch McConnell resigns or dies in office or is unable to serve and is removed from office, whatever process they have for that, this is what happens. Under Kentucky law, the governor, who is a Democrat, does not appoint a replacement. I know that's being floated about, and perhaps they want people to think that, to try to buy time with some real proof of life on Mitch McConnell. But the governor of Kentucky does not appoint a replacement senator. That may be how it works in some states, not Kentucky. The governor is required within 30 days of Mitch McConnell resigning or dying to have a special election. There'll be a special election. It would be in August, which is around the time of their primary. And whoever won that special election would finish out Mitch McConnell's term until January. And in November, there'll be an election for the senator in January. For some reason, they're postponing this. I do not believe Kevin Jennings. Now, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think, Kevin, I keep calling him Kevin Jennings because the guy on Jeopardy. I do not believe Scott Jennings. Do you believe Scott Jennings? Does it look like he's lying? I'm going to play it again. And when I play it again, look at his eyes, his face, his body language. Does Scott Jennings appear to be lying here with this fake proof of life?
Called me this morning before I did my radio show. We talked for about 17 minutes. He talked a lot about the situation with Iran, talked a little bit about Ukraine and what's going on in Europe. I told him I'd been to the Teddy Roosevelt Library. We talked a little bit about the history of the vice presidency and how Roosevelt transformed that in the modern presidency.
I know a lot about Teddy Roosevelt. He was the vice president, and became president, but he's not famous for being vice president. That's a strange conversation. And look at how Scott Jennings is continually looking away from the camera, which those body language experts tell you is them searching for an answer.
Called me this morning before I did my radio show. We talked for about 17 minutes. He talked a lot about the situation with Iran, talked a little bit about Ukraine and what's going on in Europe. I told him I'd been to the Teddy Roosevelt Library. We talked a little bit about the history of the vice presidency and how Roosevelt had transformed that in the modern presidency, a little history of the Senate. It was a wide-ranging conversation. I talked to him often. I hadn't talked to him since he'd been in. I'd gotten a few text messages from him, but I hadn't spoken to him. So it was good to hear his voice. Voice sounded strong. And it sounded like he was keeping up with the news to me.
Did you ask him how he was feeling?
Yeah, he said, he was feeling okay. Obviously well enough to call me on the phone, and obviously well enough to talk to Barrasso and Foon. Now, look, I'm not qualified to discuss any medical issues or give you any information about that. That's really for him or his staff to do. But I talk to him from time to time, and I see him from time to time. And we had a conversation today about the things that we normally talk.
See how big his eyes are, too, by the way? Does he look like he's had cosmetic work? And I want to hear, the number is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're tuned in from, 888-465-2631. Is Scott Jennings lying?
Talk about, which are news today, political stuff.
Did you come away feeling like he's still capable of serving the people of Kentucky as senator?
I came away feeling that he was staying on top of the news. Again, look, his condition and why he's in the hospital or when he might come out, or look, that's.
Do you know why, and are just saying you're not at liberty to share?
I do not know why. I only know, frankly, what reported or what his office has said. So it was a personal private call, but I didn't probe him too deeply for his medical records.
I don't believe any of that. And what happened, and he also doesn't seem comfortable telling this story to me. Does he seem comfortable to you? No. And I've always liked Scott Jennings, and he does good work filleting the Democrats, the liberals, and everything else. I get that. But he does come from the establishment. He comes from Mitch McConnell and George W. Bush's world. And whoever would win that special election, I don't know if they were forced to have it, but it might result in the Save America Act getting passed, or Thune no longer being the leader for the last half of the year. Who knows? But when I saw Scott Jennings here, to me, the way he's talking, he reminds me of Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, and this is what I mean by that. John Roberts is not he's not with us, right? They got him, right? And we've known this since Obamacare. Now they let John Roberts vote and say the right things all the time, except for the big things: Obamacare, birthright citizenship. He came out with the liberals on that, right? And that's how I feel Scott Jennings is right here. And so I want to hear your thoughts. Is Scott Jennings lying? Has Scott Jennings destroyed his credibility? And by the way, is he going through some physical changes for television? Does this look like midlife crisis time to you as well? I'd certainly like to hear your thoughts on this at 888-465-2631. And why are they doing this? Why are they keeping Mitch McConnell in the Senate brain dead? Right? You know, who is favored to replace Mitch McConnell when they actually have the election? There's something off. We're not on the radio yet. Mike the board op texted me. He is running late, and I'm not at the radio station today. So I don't know what's going on the radio station. They're probably playing music. So this is the pre-show, just so you know, even though we're supposed to be on the air now, but we're not on the radio quite yet. Just live here on YouTube. If you're new, my name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for joining. Make sure you subscribe no matter where you are. And if everyone could do me the favor of liking the video. When you like the video, guys, it does such a great help, because when you like the video, it gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found my channel, and that helps out a lot. So please like the video, and if you get that boost option, please do that as well. A couple other things that I want to mention. I'll take some of these calls first, and then I'll get to some other things, because I've got some incredible new polls that I'm going to cover. And some things on Charlie Kirk that I covered on the live stream I did earlier this morning before the show, and something new, big and new on Graham Platner that hasn't been discussed really too much yet. So we're going to get into all of that. Okay, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Oh, hey, Mike. What's up?
You know, you're right. And usually with Scott Jennings, you look at him in any other thing, he has fire in his eyes and he has acid on his tongue, right?
Mm-hmm.
He delays these guys all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at him. He doesn't have that fire in his eyes. He knows. He knows.
Well, his eyes get huge, too, when he's talking about this. Like, it's just, he's looking away and from the people a lot. His eyes look big. And I'm very interested in this midlife crisis. It looks like cosmetic work and makeover he's getting done.
Right, and you're right, he does look thinner. He doesn't quite have that Ozempic face yet, but I would expect probably within the next month or so, or maybe
he looks younger.
A little bit longer. Yeah.
He looks younger.
And you gotta ask yourself, why would Elaine Chao go back and meet with the vice president of China if she doesn't know that her husband is in a bad way? She knows that, right? She knows he's probably close to it, and she knows, and that's why she's going back to China.
Mm-hmm.
The Chinese asset that
yes.
has been Mitch McConnell is no longer that.
I agree.
No longer that.
Yeah, now this is true. Now, so his wife, Mitch McConnell's, and I'll say this, I believe that Elaine Chao, his wife, is a spy for China, and I also believe that that he's an asset, and that she went to China because they're in a panic. You know, Mitch McConnell, in his position, not only can influence American policy as a senior member in the Senate, but he also has access to classified information. So I would imagine they're either planning her exit strategy or what asset they have that could replace Mitch McConnell.
Right, and that's the thing. It's going to probably have to come from different place, because I'm not so sure that the next guy up, whomever this may be in Kentucky, is going to be a Chinese asset. Now maybe they'll find somebody, but probably not in Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I appreciate the call, all right? All right. He's got some good things to share from time to time. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jeff from Maine.
Hey, Jeff.
There's something off about what they've been doing with Mitch McConnell, and you hit it on the nose when you said that his wife's a Chinese spy, and why would she leave him if he's close to death? And I believe she's been telling him how to vote, and just like Biden's with the auto pen, he's not been in charge a long time. I don't believe he has.
Well, here's the thing. She is from a very wealthy and prominent family. Her dad went to college or high school or both with the former president of China. They're very wealthy. They gave a dowry of $15 million to Mitch when they got married. And she's an average looking woman. She's not bad looking. And Mitch McConnell, no matter at what point in his life, was as physically attractive as Harvey Weinstein. He's repulsive. So why would a rich, powerful, attractive heiress marry a guy who looks like Jabba the Hutt? I mean, he's just, you know what I mean? And that's it. And they're losing their asset.
And it's so obvious that it's been a long time since Mitch has been with it. Unable to walk, mumbles when he talks.
So what do you, now did you watch the video I played of Scott Jennings on CNN?
Yes.
Does he look like he's full of it?
Yes. And I've watched him before his shows on Salem News, and I've watched it a few times, and I mean, he was likable, but it's so obvious that he's lying. And but the question to me is, why would he?
Because he's part of the establishment. He came up through the ranks with Mitch McConnell. He started out with Mitch McConnell as a young man, and then he's worked for the Bushes.
And I won't listen to him ever again. That was eye-opening. I expected him to be truthful and say, this guy they should be putting him up for someone to take.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go through a little bit of Scott Jennings. Again, I like it when he tears up these liberals, but this is his bio. Okay, he was special assistant to President George W. Bush when he was president, and deputy director. Hold on, let me answer these lines. He was also deputy director of political affairs in February 2006. He previously served as a staff member for G.W. Bush's presidential campaign in Kentucky in 2000. He was executive director of George W. Bush's 2004 re-election campaign in New Mexico, and he is a longtime advisor to Senator Mitch McConnell. He was part of Mitch McConnell's campaigns in 2002, 2008, and 2014. And he's got other things too. So he's a Mitch McConnell, George W. Bush operative. That doesn't mean he's not good in debate with these Democrats, but can you trust him now?
No way. Not just from that clip. That showed his true colors. That was eye-opening to me, watching him sit there and squirm and his eyes getting big. And, I mean, it was so obvious he was lying.
Yeah.
That Mitch McConnell, he hasn't carried on a conversation in an interview in how long?
He's like the supreme leader in Iran. They keep releasing statements, but you never see or hear from him.
Yeah, and that it's disturbing that this is happening in the Republican Party, because the Republican establishment and rhinos are getting voted out left and right, and they see it coming. Most of them won't even rerun because they know what's going to come when President Trump put someone up against them.
That's right. All right, Jeff, I'm gonna move on, but I appreciate the call. All right.
Okay.
All right. Take care. All right. Now I want to tell you guys we're still not on the radio. People are calling me and texting me, and I'm getting DMs. We are still in pre-show because but we'll be live on the radio soon. So we're just here on YouTube. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Richie. Good morning. You know, I can tell you one thing about Mitch McConnell, Brian. He's not as sharp as a tack. For Scott Jennings or Thune, okay?
Now,
To say they had a 20-minute
17 minutes, 17 minutes, whatever that was about, 17.
Yeah, with a vegetable who the last time in public, he couldn't even run his hearing. He was mumbling, walked out there, didn't know where he was, and was incoherent. You're going to tell me you had a conversation for 17 minutes? There's no way. I believe that you're right on a dime, but I also believe that concerned with the Senate seat, because I think it's Andy Bashir he's the governor and he appoints the next senator.
No. I know. I looked into this morning. No. No. If Mitch McConnell resigns or dies, the governor does not appoint the replacement. The governor is required within 29 days to have a special election.
Okay, that's much.
And they're what you're talking about is being floated around to try to buy more time and confuse the issue. No, the governor of some states that happens, not in Kentucky. Okay, under Kentucky law, the governor's
required.
Yeah, so
100% right, because there's no way that a wife is going to leave the side of her husband when he's in intensive care or in a hospital like this. It doesn't make any sense.
And I'll tell you, Scott Jennings, it tells you the stakes. I mean, because you believe Scott Jennings is lying, like I do, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
for Scott Jennings, who's going through some makeover like Trey Gowdy over on Fox, I mean, my goodness. If I started going through a makeover like that, my wife would start wondering, what the hell what are you getting all this? What are you trying to look so good for, bro? But for him to blow his credibility on this shows what a big deal it is to the establishment rhinos, right? I mean, it's big.
Yeah, but my thing is this, and you see all these people like the guy with Fang that they throw out, and all these people within. There's got to be some kind of protection. We're talking about keeping Chinese spies out of this country and everything else. I believe that if you go to the Senate, you go to Congress, if your wife was a devout communist, okay, what Kathy would never be, but if she was, I wouldn't think that you should be able to run for anything in this country in an office.
Correct.
And they have a guy like Mitch McConnell, the highest-ranking Republican before Donald Trump.
For a long time.
And this guy... For a long time, and this guy was married to. I mean, to me, a conflict of interest. They're worried about the Supreme Court with this conflict of interest.
And what's this? If he were in the conditions that's being described, they would give us a photograph. We'd get a still photo at the very least, and we haven't gotten that.
Yeah, this guy has got to be.
They used to do this, like back in the 80s and things, before we had all the internet and all that stuff. Back in the 80s, like say President Reagan was in the hospital, they would show a photograph of him, sometimes in the hospital bed, talking on the phone, and it'd be a still photo, and the news would run with that.
Yeah,
we're not getting any proof of life here. No proof of life.
Right. Absolutely not, and to put people up on TV to say, "Oh no, I had a conversation with him." How believable is that? That's like you telling me Joe Biden was at the top of his game for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
No way. I've seen it with my own eyeballs that he wasn't. Why do they cover all this garbage? All these politicians cover a lot of crap up, and then they got the nerve. I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you, they got the nerve to say that President Trump isn't at his A game yet. Come on. I mean, he's out there every day. You at least know what you got with President Trump. He's as sharp as a tack. And they still think, well, he's got a form of dementia. These people are out of control. I mean, not for nothing, this whole situation here with this guy, it should be on the front page of the paper right now, along with what bombing the crap out of
Well, there's listen, I have not been following, Mitch McConnell's not running for re-election. There'll be a new senator from Kentucky in January. And I haven't been following that race. So I don't know who's who and what the polls look like in the Republican primary right now there. but they're trying to stop something. The Republican establishment, for them to do so much damage to Scott Jennings, who until this moment has been pretty beloved by conservatives and MAGA conservatives for his filleting these pundits on CNN, to destroy his credibility like this, it shows that it is a big freaking deal to them.
So you have more connections and you do more research on the internet and everything else for certain things. You ought to see who the Republicans have on the bench in Kentucky. You just mentioned you don't keep up with that, but there's got to be a problem with Kentucky. I mean, look what they put. They put.
Well, I'll tell you what happened with this. I haven't really covered the Mitch McConnell thing at all. I was waiting for more information, and I made a mention or two here and there about the wife going to China. And first story I saw this morning was I keep calling him Kevin Jennings because that's the Jeopardy guy. The first story I saw today was Scott Jennings, and I'm like, this is just Scott Jennings, and I like, this is just BS. And I had set up the YouTube video I've got some polls that show that we're going to gain everywhere, the red wave poll, and I set up the whole YouTube live stream, did the thumbnail, had it up there for a bit. And then I went back and watched the Scott Jennings video again, and I said, this is BS. And I changed the thumbnail and the title of the YouTube video and said, this is going to be my lead story. Yeah. Because there's something bigger here, and it could be the Save America. Who knows what it is, but there's something here that has them doing this Ayatollah Supreme Leader Act with Mitch McConnell.
I agree 150% here. And like I said, to bench in Kentucky, that's it. I would like to know what they got on. When we know when a Republican is up for an election, we know what the bench is. We don't know.
Well, no. In a case like this, there hasn't been any news or controversy around it. The primary is not till next month, so it's a little soon. So but we'll look into it. I can't do it so much while I'm on the air, but if anybody has any intel on who but if there's a special election, who runs in that special election may not be the people that are running in the Republican primary. It could be anyone, right?
Yeah. I just want somebody that's going to be a Trump person.
Well, obviously obviously there must be that risk, or they wouldn't be going to such an extreme right now. All right, I got to run because we're getting back on the radio now. All right, you take care. All right. This has been the pre-show still because we're coming on the air late, but stand by. We've got just a few seconds. Welcome, everyone. My name is Brian Craig, and you are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. And this is going to be a very short segment, guys. My apologies. But I'm going to, I know we haven't been on the air the last 28 minutes, but I've been doing the show live on YouTube. You guys should all watch me on YouTube. Brian Craig Brian Craig Show on YouTube. And I take the live calls just like I do here on the radio. But I'm going to recap the premise of today's show, which is a very important premise. And then we're going to break for the bottom of the hour in a very short segment and then come back. There were some big stories today. There's something big with Graham Platner I'm going to cover, something majorly important with this Charlie Kirk trial that no one's covering that I'm going to cover. There are some polls out there that show a massive MAGA red wave. But what I'm going to cover today, and I'm going to get into the details after this break, and my apologies for the short segment, guys. Mitch McConnell, Laura Loomer reported this week that Mitch McConnell is brain dead. And Scott Jennings pulled something on CNN last night that I believe is completely insane. So we're going to take our bottom of the hour break. And when we get back, I'm going to jump right into it. All right? So don't go anywhere. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. Our number is toll-free 888-465-2631. Back after this. Okay, hold on. I'm coordinating with Mike. What's going on here? Okay, guys. Now listen. I want to tell you guys about a few things. Okay. All right. We got a couple minutes till we're back on the radio. This is the bottom of the hour break. See, I told you guys you should all be watching on YouTube, right? And those of you that are new, welcome. Make sure that you subscribe, okay? Now, but I do want to talk about the great Mike Lindell and my pillow, okay? You know, it is America's 250th anniversary, and Mike Lindell at My Pillow with our promo code Kane at checkout is offering huge savings on his made in the USA products. Right now, you can save up to 50% off your favorite My Pillow products, which includes the classic and premium My Pillows, the mattress toppers, which I love, the mattresses, body pillows, mattress pads, even the My Coffee from Mike Lindell. Oh yeah, the My Cross. You know, Mike Lindell offers the cross both for men and women that you see him wearing all the time, the My Cross necklace. Huge savings, up to 50% off these made in the USA products with our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E. And get this, if your order is $100 or more, you get free shipping, all right? So if you've been thinking about getting a My Pillow product and been putting it off, this is the time. This promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E, unlocks huge America's 250th anniversary sales, okay? So if you've been thinking about replacing your pillows, upgrading your bed, trying some of the other My Pillow products that you've been curious about but haven't ordered, this is one of the best sales I've ever seen there. So don't miss out. Go to mypillow.com and use our promo code Kane, checkout, K-A-N-E, for these huge savings. You can also order by phone, toll-free, 800-716-4879. 800-716-4879, promo code Kane, K-A-N-E, at checkout. So when we get back from the break, at the bottom of the hour, which will be in 2 minutes, I'm going to recap the entire story for the radio audience, and then I'll get back to the call. So if you want to call in, please do. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. This Mitch McConnell story, there's something big here that we're just not getting to the bottom of, okay? And what Scott Jennings did was just disgusting to me. Just disgusting. Okay, hang in there. We've got just over a minute and we'll be back. Okay. I'm talking with Mike, the board op. Less than 2 minutes and we'll be back. He's telling me what time we're going to be back, and the break schedule's messed up a little bit here in the first hour on the radio, and we're trying to get back on schedule for the rest of the show. Yes. I've never seen the way they're acting here with Mitch McConnell is the way the Democrats act. It really is, and it's the uniparty, right? It's 100% the uniparty. By the way, please, guys, just over a minute till we're back. Make sure you like the video if you've not already done it, guys. When you like the video, it gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found the channel, and that helps out so much, guys. So please do that. Like the video, and if you get that hype feature, please do that as well. Yep, the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat. All right, 30 seconds, and we will be back. Yep, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Okay, stand by. That makes no sense at all. Hold on. Okay. 15 seconds. All right, we are back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. All right, those of you listening on the radio, we will be on schedule for the rest of the program, okay? And of course, I'm sending my apologies to you for being off schedule this morning, but we'll be back on track from now until 9. Okay, there's a lot of big stories to cover. I'm going to start with the Mitch McConnell story, and I was talking about this off the radio on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show on YouTube, taking calls. But this is a very important story. It has been reported by mainstream news outlets that Mitch McConnell, a few weeks back, had a cardiac arrest. He's been in the hospital for weeks now. No one has seen nor heard from him. Earlier this week, a day or two ago, Laura Loomer, who has a 100% accuracy rate with her reporting, 100%. Laura Loomer reported that Mitch McConnell is brain dead and is in the hospital, brain dead, being kept alive, brain dead on life support. That's Laura Loomer. She has a 100% accuracy rate with her reporting. Earlier this week, a few days ago, something very strange dropped. Mitch McConnell's wife is Elaine Chao, okay? She is a naturalized U.S. citizen from China. She is from a wealthy and prominent family in China. People for years have believed that Elaine Chao is a Chinese spy and that Mitch McConnell is her asset and she is his handler. They've been married for a long time. 3 days after Mitch McConnell's cardiac arrest, his wife, Elaine Chao, flew to China. Think about this. 3 days after he had cardiac arrest, his wife, Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, flew to China and had a meeting with the vice president of China. How weird is that, and what could that be about? You know, and it very well could be that they are in a panic. You know, Mitch McConnell, because of his seniority, can do a lot of things to help the Chinese, to help the CCP. One, he could influence U.S. policy, no doubt about that, both internationally and here in our borders. But he also has access to classified intel about a lot of things. So was Elaine Chao in China meeting with the vice president, figuring out either her exit strategy or the replacement for Mitch McConnell as an asset, how they're going to replace this asset? And then last night, Scott Jennings on CNN said something that I don't believe Scott Jennings. And you know, I'll tell you this about Scott Jennings. I have been a fan of him on CNN for, it seems like he's been there for years. He's very good on CNN in these debates with these liberal idiots. And I like it. I watch the sound bites. On occasion, I play them on the show. But, you know, there's context with people. So Scott Jennings didn't just come out of nowhere. It might have seemed that way, but he's a Republican establishment guy. He came up through the ranks under Mitch McConnell, who was his mentor in politics. He worked on several as an advisor of his Senate campaigns. And he was also a special advisor to President Bush, G.W. Bush, when he was president, and also was a senior person on George W. Bush's presidential campaigns, Scott Jennings. So he is a establishment Mitch McConnell, George W. Bush Republican. That's just a fact. Doesn't mean he doesn't do a good job going up against these liberals, but context is everything. And last night, I'm going to play you the clip right now. Scott Jennings, who looks to be going through a physical facial makeover, he looks about 10 years or more younger than the last time I saw him. He's growing a beard, and I don't know, does his hair look lighter too? I don't know, but he's going through a physical drastic transformation to try to look better. But anyway, he detailed on CNN a phone conversation that he claims to have had with Mitch McConnell. I don't buy any of it. It seems like total BS. The way he reacts physically, he's not looking at the people he's talking to a lot, and his eyes are like bulging huge. and he seems very uncomfortable with this whole story. All right, so here's Scott Jennings on CNN last night talking about Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, he called me this morning before I did my radio show. We talked for about 17 minutes. We talked a lot about the situation with Iran. Talked a little bit about Ukraine and what's going on in Europe. I told him I'd been to the Teddy Roosevelt Library. We talked a little bit about the history of the vice presidency and how Roosevelt had transformed that in the modern presidency. A little history of the Senate. I mean, it was a wide-ranging conversation. I talked to him often. I hadn't talked to him since he'd been in. I'd gotten a few text messages from him, but I hadn't spoken to him. So it was good to hear his voice. Voice sounded strong and sounded like he was keeping up with the news to me.
Oh boy.
How he was feeling?
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
he was feeling okay. You know, obviously well enough to call me on the phone, and obviously well enough to talk to Barrasso and Thune. Now, look, I'm not qualified to discuss any medical issues or give you information about that. That's really for him or his staff to do. But you know, I talk to him from time to time, and I see him from time to time. And you know, we had a conversation today about the things that we normally talk about, which are news today, political stuff.
Did you come away feeling like he's still capable of serving the people of Kentucky as senator?
I came away feeling that he was staying on top of the news. Again, look, his condition and why he's in the hospital or when he might come out, or look, that's.
Do you know why, and are just saying you're not at liberty to share?
I do not know why. I only know, frankly, what has been reported or what his office has said. So it was a personal, private call, but I didn't probe him too deeply for his medical records.
Okay, I don't buy any of this. Sharp as a you know, the last few times we've seen Mitch McConnell on TV, well, really the last year or so we've seen McConnell on TV. He's been out of it every time, right? No, the way I describe Scott Jennings here, I mean, this is like total. He's, in my view, he seems to be lying. Do you think he's telling the truth or lying? Right? You know, and I want to share what there's false information going on about what happens in Kentucky if Mitch McConnell resigns or dies in office. The governor of Kentucky is a Democrat, but the governor does not appoint a replacement. Mitch McConnell is not running for re-election. So in January, there will be a new senator from Kentucky. But if he dies or resigns from office, Mitch McConnell, the governor of Kentucky, who's a Democrat, does not appoint a replacement to finish the term. That is not true. The way these things are handled is different by state to state. Each state has its own laws. And I looked into this before the show. In the state of Kentucky, the governor is required by law, if Mitch McConnell dies or resigns, to have a special election within 29 days to have a replacement to complete the term. They are trying to avoid doing that, maybe forever. They're certainly trying to put it off for as long as possible. So if this happened now, the election would be in August, the special election, around the time of their primaries, which would be a bit messy and confusing and problematic for a lot of reasons. But I don't believe Scott Jennings. I believe he is lying like nobody's business. He's lying like a Democrat right here. I don't believe, and for them to blow the credibility of a guy who is so well loved and supported by conservatives nationwide, both MAGA and Never Trumpers. Everybody likes Scott Jennings. You know, the way I would describe this is it's a lot like John Roberts, right? John Roberts is compromised. They control him. They let him vote the right way all the time, except on the big things. Obamacare, birthright citizenship last week, you know, and some others from time to time. But all the time you see rulings, opinions come out of the Supreme Court, and he's right. They only use the compromise status with John Roberts on the big things like birthright citizenship last week. And I feel that that's what they did with Scott Jennings here. They told him, you got to go on TV and do this proof of life 17-minute phone call BS. Before his cardiac arrest, he couldn't have a 17-minute conversation about anything. He was out of it. We've seen him on TV for a long time like this. So we're going to take our last break of the first hour, but I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you believe Scott Jennings? Is Scott Jennings lying? Why are they postponing this? Why are they stalling? Why are they trying to prevent this special election, the Republican establishment? I want to hear your thoughts on this. I got a lot of other big stories I'm going to cover on the program today, but I want to hear your thoughts on this. I took some calls on YouTube before we were live on the radio this morning. So far, everyone who's called in agrees with me. Scott Jennings is lying. Laura Loomer is right, as always. And the Republican establishment are up to some shenanigans here. But I want to hear what you all think and why. The number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, okay? And be right back.
Love Sudoku? Then get ready for a whole new challenge with Sudoku's Revenge. With Sudoku's Revenge, play classic Sudoku your way. Compete against other players and climb the leaderboards in this exciting new app and tournament website. And the best part, Sudoku's Revenge is completely free to play. Earn gems as you play, then redeem them for fun prizes. Tournaments are launching as more players come online. And right now, there are always 2 tournaments available, with even more ready to unlock as the community grows. Become one of the first members of this growing community of puzzle fans. And go right now to Sudoku'sRevenge.com. That's Sudoku'sRevenge.com, where every puzzle is a chance for revenge. Sudoku'sRevenge.com. If there's a new baby in your family, or you know someone who's expecting, you'll love what you will find at LaVello Baby. From thoughtful baby essentials to everyday parenting helpers, LaVello Baby offers products that make life just a little easier for busy moms, dads, and growing families. LaVello Baby's portable baby bottle warmer is a customer favorite. It's rechargeable, perfect for travel, and makes nighttime feeding so much easier. And right now, you can save on their newest baby products. Whether you're shopping for your own little one or looking for that perfect baby shower gift, visit LaVelloBaby.com right now. That's LuVello, LaVelloBaby.com. Helping make every day with baby a little easier. LaVelloBaby.com. One mother's fight over adoption fraud and child trafficking has inspired a powerful new book series calling for greater government accountability. The Colorado Government Book Series from author Lindsay Schaefer. It's a deeply personal collection based on her own experiences and years of legal and personal battles. From The Missing, which covers where her daughter was kidnapped and child human trafficked out of the state of Colorado. Imperium Conflictus, which features a 14-year disability case and spousal support case. And Warranty of Habitability, where Lindsay describes the unlivable conditions she found helping the poor, with 10 shelters in Denver, Colorado, having mold and asbestos. Author Lindsay Schaefer shares her perspective on child custody, disability benefits, homelessness, and the challenges she faced while seeking justice. If you're searching for a thought-provoking book series that raises the difficult questions and encourages readers to think for themselves, order the Colorado Government Book Series from author Lindsay Schaefer online at payhip.com/Lindsay777. That's payhip.com/777.
All right, guys, we'll be back in about 90 seconds. And if you're on hold, hang in there. I got so much to cover today. But this one here, I'm really disappointed in Scott Jennings. I really am, because I've liked him, and it's sad when you see someone who's doing so good, and you wonder sometimes, how do these guys get on? How does a guy like this who's doing so good get on CNN? Well, if he's lying there, that means because he's part of the Uniparty, right? Well, that's it. All right, so got a couple of other things. I got 1 minute till we're back. I got a couple of things I want to mention before the top of the hour, and then I will get into the polls. If you'd like to call in, again, the number is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. Those of you who want to hold standby, and it is a toll-free call. Yep. All right. Okay. 20 seconds. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. If you're on hold, stand by. I just want to mention a thing or two here before I forget, because I will forget if I don't do it now. I'm very behind on my coffee today, guys. I didn't have any coffee when I woke up, and I've only had a few sips of my coffee today, and I'm pretty hooked on that espresso, and I am so far behind on my coffee. Oh, my goodness. It could be the most interesting show you've heard in a long time, because who knows what I'm going to say when I'm going through caffeine withdrawals. I don't even know if I can catch up at this point. We'll find out. It's true. I wish I could give up coffee. I really do. I can't. I've tried many times over the years, unsuccessfully. Okay. The Democrats, we've got our Republicans with this Scott Jennings, Mitch McConnell thing up to some pretty big crooked things with this Senate seat. There's no doubt about it. They're behaving like Democrats. And what the Democrats are doing in Maine, that's a very dangerous thing. Graham Platner still has not dropped out. There was a story yesterday in the New York Post, and it's well sourced with people inside the Graham Platner campaign. He is refusing to step down. He wants to sign off on who's going to be the candidate after him. Can you imagine? Guy's a Nazi accused of rape, and he thinks that the person that replaces him has to have his endorsement. Pretty arrogant. But he has not resigned yet. He's not stepped down. Well, he can't resign, doesn't hold office. He's not suspended his campaign or dropped out of the race. And they have until the 14th, which is 6 days, to plug in a replacement to have them on the ballot. They came out with a news story from another girl friend of his yesterday, which is really disgusting. My apologies for this disgusting story, but I got to share it for context and reference. Another girlfriend of Graham Platner said that when they were having sex, he would, without her knowledge, during sex, remove the condom. And she was not on birth control, and he knew this. That is a very bizarre and strange thing for someone to do. And I believe that is a sexual assault. And you guys out there, in particular, you ladies out there, removing the condom during sex without the woman's knowledge, is that a sexual assault? I think it is. There's different levels and degrees of everything, right? But that to me sounds like a sexual assault, a major violation. It's really insane. And so your thoughts on that are welcome. But what the Democrats are doing with Graham Platner, they're trying to do with Graham Platner what they did to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Think about this now. Graham Platner won the Maine primary. People went out, he had a campaign, people went out and voted for him, and he won. The poll numbers don't look good. And his number, and Graham Platner being the nominee, they probably have national polling from around the country that shows having this Nazi running in Maine, regardless of what happens in Maine, it's having a negative impact on their races around the country. Okay, that's probably where a lot of this is coming from, that he's having a negative impact on other races around the country because they're associated with Graham Platner. And what they're trying to do is throw away the voters in the primaries and plug someone in to be the nominee and on the ballot for the Democrats running for the U.S. Senate in Maine who didn't receive a single vote. Just like they did with Joe Biden. When the polls weren't going well for Joe Biden and it was hurting them nationally, after all the primaries were done, they plugged in Kamala Harris, who did not receive a single primary vote. So here we are, 2 elections in a row. One, obviously, the presidential nominee is a big one, but this is a United States Senate seat. It's a pretty big deal. U.S. Senate's a pretty big deal being a U.S. Senator. So the Democrats, with Joe and Biden and Kamala Harris, and now with Graham Platner, are setting an insane precedent that really has to be stood up to. So someone wins the primary, they go through the entire primary process, the people vote for them, then they get some polling data, and it doesn't look that great. They're hurting them, so they just want to throw out the entire primary and plug people in that don't have any votes behind them? Not a single vote? This is new, okay? We have a primary process for a reason. And if they do it this time, they're going to do it every time. And this is going to be the new norm. What's the point of the primaries and the entire primary process, which isn't just expensive for the campaigns? The states, taxpayers pay a boatload of money for those primaries in the states. And if they're going to do it now for a U.S. senator, they did it for a presidential race, why not governors? Why not school boards? House races, of course. City council, county commissions. The Democrats are setting up an insane and dangerous precedent here. That primaries mean nothing. When somebody wins a primary, when the polls come out, if they don't like the response from the polls, just throw out the voters' will in the primaries and plug someone new in. This is a very dangerous thing they're doing. And, you know, the way U.S. law works, so much of what we do in U.S. law is by legal precedent. And they are setting a legal precedent here with Graham Platner. It'll be the second time they've done it, two elections in a row. The 24 presidential, and now the midterms in this year, in 2026. They're going to do it in every election, everywhere, forever, if they get away with it now. Very important to stand up against this. All right, those of you on hold, stand by. We're back on schedule now, and of course, this is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. If you're on hold, hang in there. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I want to talk about the great American patriot Mike Lindell and MyPillow. You know, Mike Lindell and MyPillow were celebrating America's 250th anniversary with some of the biggest savings I've ever seen on top MyPillow products. It's the MyPillow Made in the USA special. And right now, on products at MyPillow Made in the USA, you can save up to 50% off with our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. That includes the classic and premium MyPillows, the mattress toppers, the mattresses, the body pillows, which are amazing, the mattress pads, even the Mike Lindell My Coffee. Even, oh yeah, also on this special is the My Cross. You know that cross that Mike Lindell wears? You can buy that same cross. There's for both men and women with a huge discount, and it's made in the USA with our promo code KANE. And here's a great bonus. If your order is equal to or greater than $100, it's free shipping, right? So go to MyPillow.com, use our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. Our promo code KANE unlocks this special 250th anniversary pricing. And if you've been thinking about replacing your pillows, upgrading your bed, your mattress, or trying some of the other great MyPillow products, this is one of the most incredible sales I've ever seen. So this is the time to do it. So go to MyPillow.com, save up to 50% off during the MyPillow America's 250th anniversary special with our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. You can also order by phone, toll-free, 800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. All right, we're going to take our break for the top. There's less than a minute left, so I don't have time to go to the phones right now. We'll take more calls after the break. You're welcome to call in about anything I brought up so far. I've got some other subjects and topics and important news stories that I am going to cover on the program, including going over the latest polls, which are looking great for us in the midterms. It's going to be a MAGA sweep, a MAGA red wave. But of course, we've got to have a mass turnout and swamp them at the poll. The red wave comes with us swamping them at the polls, but all the polls are in our favor. So I'm going to go through some of that a little later as well. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. After our top of the hour break, I'll get into the new topics, take your calls, and much, much more. 1 hour down, 2 to go. I'm Brian Craig. We'll be back right after our top of the hour break. All right, we're clear. We're going to take a quick break, guys. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be right back.
What if the greatest threat to a kingdom wasn't an invading army, but the loss of memory itself? From author Fakhri Bey comes the new epic fantasy, The Vayrith Cycle, the crown that forgot its king. Available on Amazon. In a kingdom where every crown holds power and every name shapes reality, a royal tax collector arrives in a village where everyone knows they have a king, but no one can remember his name. As memories disappear, ancient forces awaken, and a mysterious creature begins consuming not people, but crowns themselves. One disgraced nobleman must uncover a secret buried for centuries before the very idea of kingship vanishes forever. If you enjoy rich world building, political intrigue, dark mythology, morally complex heroes, and sweeping fantasy adventures, The Vayrith Cycle is your next must-read book. Order your copy right now on Amazon, in Kindle, paperback, and free with Kindle Unlimited. The Vayrith Cycle, the crown that forgot its king, from author Fakhri Bey, on Amazon. Are you looking for jewelry that's as unique as you are? Then check out Kita Luxury on Etsy, where every piece is handcrafted with passion, artistry, and the natural beauty of genuine crystals and gemstones, inspired by a love for one-of-a-kind bohemian designs. Kita Luxury was created with a simple mission to make extraordinary handmade jewelry accessible to everyone. Behind every creation is a talented team of skilled artisans, each bringing their custom expertise to metalwork, stone cutting, beading, and fine jewelry craftsmanship to produce stunning wearable works of art. Whether you're searching for a breathtaking statement necklace, elegant earrings, handcrafted bracelets, beautiful rings, or meaningful jewelry for both men and women, you'll discover pieces that celebrate your individuality and personal style. Every design is carefully crafted using high-quality, natural materials, creating jewelry that's more than an accessory. It's a reflection of who you are. Whether you're shopping for yourself or searching for the perfect gift, Kita Luxury offers timeless handcrafted jewelry designed to inspire, delight, and be treated for years to come. These healing crystals are some of the best healing jewelry on Etsy. Visit KitaLuxury.etsy.com. That's KEETA luxury.etsy.com. KitaLuxury.etsy.com. Handcrafted jewelry that tells your story. KitaLuxury.etsy.com.
All right, we've got a little more than a minute, so I'm just going to play the beginning of this Kevin Jennings clip again last night. I'm calling total BS on this story.
Yeah, he called me this morning before I did my radio show. We talked for about 17 minutes. Yeah, he talked a lot about the situation with Iran. Talked a little bit about Ukraine and what's going on in Europe. I told him I'd been to the Teddy Roosevelt Library. We talked a little bit about the history of the vice presidency and how Roosevelt had transformed that into modern presidency, the history of the Senate. I mean, it was a wide-ranging conversation. I talked to him often. I hadn't talked to him since he'd been in. I'd gotten a few text messages from him, but I hadn't spoken to him. So it was good to hear his voice. Voice sounded strong and sounded like he was keeping up with the news to me.
I think Scott Jennings' body language is off there too. He just doesn't seem his normal self. I really don't. Now I'm going to call total BS on all that. All right, we're coming back in 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Hang in there. All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. The 7 o'clock hour has begun. Welcome, one and all. If you're just tuning in, you've missed a lot. If you're on hold, hang in there. Stand by. If you'd like to call in, you're welcome to call in about anything I brought up so far. The number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. And what is this 17 minutes that Scott Jennings? What is there a significance to 17? Is this a hostage video? Is he sending out some code for us to know that he's under duress making this comment. I don't know. I'm just, Scott Jennings, very disappointing. All right, now there's another thing in the news that's going on that I got to mention to you, and it's really burning me up. It's really ticking me off. It's this, it's the Charlie Kirk assassin trial. And it's in the preliminary hearings, and I will be covering this when the trial gets going and when there's notable things. I will be covering it on the program. Don't worry about that. But I'm getting very frustrated with the coverage that I'm hearing out of the Charlie Kirk trial, and I want to talk about this because I don't know if you share my thoughts, if you agree with what I'm about to say or not, but I'd like to hear. I'm watching a lot of the coverage coming out of the Charlie Kirk preliminary hearing, and most of the coverage is coming from, oh yes, before I get to that, somebody just reminded me, Andrew Gillum. Don't worry, we'll talk about Andrew Gillum in just a bit, okay? The guy, we were saved from him. He was almost our governor. And we were saved from him by President Trump. Don't worry, I'll get to Andrew Gillum. But I want to talk about the Charlie Kirk trial. The Charlie Kirk trial so far is mostly being covered by the new media, conservative influencers, not the mainstream media. The mainstream media will get more involved when the actual trial comes. Right now, the preliminary hearing, there's motions, evidence is being debated, and things are coming out. And all of the coverage that I'm seeing that's coming is missing the big thing here. They're acting like it's some big deal that the assassin was the assassin. They got his DNA on the weapon. They've got video of him. Was that ever a question? We knew he was there. We knew he fired the shot. Everyone knew the assassin was the assassin. There was no doubt about it. Now, Candace Owens had some other bizarro theories, but the coverage I'm seeing is really trying to expose Candace Owens as being a fraud who made up things. We all knew the shooter was the shooter, the assassin was the assassin. And that's not the story here. I believe that the assassin is a patsy like John Wilkes Booth was a patsy. That's true. And Lee Harvey Oswald. Lee Harvey Oswald was the assassin of John F. Kennedy, but there was a larger conspiracy with Lee Harvey Oswald. We all know this. I'm not going to go through all of that now. Everybody knows. It's part of the American experience to know that. There was a vast conspiracy around the assassination of President Kennedy. It doesn't mean that Oswald wasn't the gunman, wasn't the shooter. It just means there was a larger conspiracy. Too many stars aligned perfectly for him to be there at the book depository at that window at that time with the president coming down in that vehicle. Same thing goes with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is the second most important member of the MAGA movement from day one. The most important person, of course, is the president. What Charlie Kirk did with Turning Point USA was nothing short of a miracle, and he did things that no one thought was possible. There have been many conservative groups over the years, grassroots groups, but not very effective, preaching to the choir. The Christian Coalition as an example. I like the Christian Coalition. They're good, but they're preaching to the choir. They're going to the Christians, and okay. They're not converting people to conservatism. The NRA is basically a lobbying group, and their focus is on spending money and lobbying members of Congress. They're not that effective in growing the movement. What they do is they're a lobby group, like any other lobby group in D.C. They're not bringing people to conservatism or the Second Amendment. Charlie Kirk was turning an entire generation of college and high school students into Republicans. No one ever even tried that before. It seemed impossible because young people typically are liberal because they're stupid. They don't know what's going on. When they grow up and their minds finally fully develop and then they become productive members of society and grow up, they understand oftentimes, right, and become conservatives. And that's the way it is. Republicans, no one ever even attempted to make moves to turn college and high school students into Republicans. And Charlie Kirk not only tried to do it, he did it with great success and became a powerful person who did it. You know, when I started seeing the young people walking around with MAGA caps that were the cool kids, I realized what amazing work he was doing. After the Never Trumpers assassinated Charlie Kirk, and I started hearing people from the Trump administration talk about his role in the campaign in 2024 and during the transition to the second term, he was involved in almost every cabinet choice. He was, JD was his choice, all kinds of things. I didn't realize how involved he was at that level. And the Never Trumpers assassinated Charlie Kirk with this patsy that's on trial now. Now, the assassin's the assassin, and he killed Charlie. But I believe he was probably recruited by the Never Trumpers through that furry Discord server that he was involved in or something else like that. And patsies don't always know they're patsies. Oswald did. He came out saying, I'm a patsy, before they shot him dead. This idiot may not know he's a patsy, but he is a patsy. And what's been burning me up during the trial coverage is that no one's talking about this. That shot that he made, you would have to be the top sniper, military trained to make a shot like that. How did he make a shot like that? Was it just luck? At that distance, I don't think so. Have any of you been shooting long distance outside? It ain't easy. You've got, on any weapon, even a rifle, you've got kickback, and that kickback affects where the gun's aimed. There's, at a distance like that, you've got wind. There's so many things. And I don't believe that some furry friend guy, without any training whatsoever, picked up a rifle and did that. And I believe the same people that assassinated Charlie Kirk that day are the same people that were behind the assassination attempt that got the president shot in Butler, and the second attempt 2 months later at the golf course here in Florida. And if you look at Butler and the Charlie Kirk assassinations, it's the same pattern. Guy on the roof, all that. There was a cue. And Butler, the cue was that PowerPoint slide presentation about the illegals coming into the country. And this one, it's believed that the cue had to do with that trans question to Charlie. And none of these people that are covering the trial are talking about this, what I believe to be a conspiracy. And do you agree with me that Charlie Kirk was assassinated by the same people behind Butler in the golf course or not? You don't have to. That's okay. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's what I believe. I believe that since day one. I believed it from the moment that I found out Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Steve called me. He said, they just killed Charlie Kirk. I said, what? I was getting ready to do my podcast. I pulled it up. It was a couple minutes later. I said, my goodness, the same people. And I said, then, the people behind this are the ones that shot the president in Butler. I stand by that. And what the conservative media, it's mainly the influencers at this point, are covering the preliminary hearing of the Charlie Kirk assassin trial. They're in effect working as a modern-day Warren Commission. Okay, the Warren Commission that looked into the Kennedy assassination determined that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, right? The Warren Commission, the purpose of the Warren Commission was to try to do away with any conspiracy theories around the Kennedy assassination and identify Lee Harvey Oswald not only as the lone gunman, but as a man who acted alone, which is total BS. These conservative influencers and conservative media covering the Charlie Kirk trial are so busy sucking up to Erica Kirk and trying to discredit Candace Owens, they're losing the big picture, and they're working like the Warren Commission did, establishing that this guy acted alone, which I don't believe at all. And it's rather frustrating for me. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, please do. The number's toll free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I want to talk about Joe Thomas and annuities. You know, when I first met Joe Thomas and annuity, and he told me about annuities, I didn't understand annuities. I sat down with him and I said to him, can you explain to me what they are? Because I don't understand what an annuity is, how it works, and why people should be involved in it. I just don't. And after a couple of minutes, 5 minutes, why isn't everybody doing this? You know, with annuities, your money is never at risk. That's right. Your money is never at risk, and you're guaranteed a check every month for the rest of your life. You're giving yourself a pension or a second Social Security check, whatever it is. It's absolutely amazing. You know, and so many people in this audience have become clients of Joe Thomas. Give Joe Thomas a call. The consultation is free. Take advantage of it no matter where you're located. You can, of course, if you're local and you want to have that conversation and that no-charge consultation in person at Joe Thomas's office, please do that. But if you can't make it into his office in Jupiter, that's okay. You can take advantage of the no-charge consultation over the phone or through a video call on Zoom or something, or on FaceTime. It doesn't matter. Give him a call. Schedule your no-charge consultation. Tell him your situation, and he's going to put together a custom proposal just for you based on your situation and your goals. His number, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. And online, JupiterJoe.com. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, stand by. We'll be back right after this.
What does it really mean to be the richest person in history? Find out in The Valuation King, how Musk used equity and exits to become the most powerful founder alive. Available on Amazon. This must-read book compares two legendary empire builders separated by more than 6 years. Mansa Musa, the ruler whose legendary wealth transformed economies, and Elon Musk, the modern entrepreneur who redefined how fortunes are built in the 21st century. The Valuation King uses real financial records, SEC filings, court documents, as well as in-depth research, uncovering the powerful strategies behind today's biggest fortunes. When you read The Valuation King, you'll learn how equity can become greater than cash and explore the financial playbook that has changed business forever. Whether you're an investor, entrepreneur, business owner, or simply fascinated by wealth and innovation, The Valuation King offers an eye-opening look at one of the most remarkable financial stories ever told. Order your copy of The Valuation King, how Musk used equity and exits to become the most powerful founder alive, on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, and free with Kindle Unlimited. How would you like to create professional documents in seconds instead of hours? You can do just that with DocAssistAI.pro, the AI-powered platform that helps you create, sign, send, and manage documents with ease. Need a contract, agreement, NDA, employment letter, or other business document? Just describe what you need in plain English, and DocAssistAI.pro creates a professional document in seconds. Need signatures? Send legally binding e-signature requests with secure email verification, complete audit trails, and real-time tracking. Already have your own PDF? Upload it and collect signatures in just a few clicks. Working with a long contractor report? DocAssistAI.pro can even generate an AI-powered summary so you can understand the key points fast. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Visit DocAssistAI.pro. That's DocAssistAI.pro. Create, sign, send smarter with DocAssistAI.pro.
My Pillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium My Pillow just the exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well rested in the morning.
Now for the lowest price ever. Kings $19.98, Queens only $18.98, and Kings and Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history.
All right, we'll be back in less than 20 seconds, guys. Hang in there. All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. All right, I know I've been going on and on. I've had so much to cover today, and there's just a few things I've wanted to cover before I forget about them. I do have one more, but I'm going to take a call or two. I know I've been ignoring you guys on the phones for a bit. The number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, conservative.
Oh, hey, Doug.
The first thing I'd like to say is, first of all, just as a human being, forgetting that he's a reporter, Scott Jennings, the first thing you're going to ask when somebody's in the hospital is, what the hell happened? What's wrong with you? And he doesn't even answer the question.
Yeah.
So, without a doubt, he just didn't want to say what he said. But I don't know. Maybe he should have said, the family doesn't want me to talk about it. You'll get that from the family.
Well, you got to understand with Scott Jennings, he was mentored by Mitch McConnell. He worked on multiple Mitch McConnell Senate campaigns. He worked for George W. Bush when he was president and also had senior positions in his presidential campaigns. So he's a Mitch McConnell Bush Republican. He does great on television. He's great in debate. I enjoy that. But I just don't believe that he had a 17-minute detailed conversation with Mitch McConnell yesterday. I don't believe that.
I don't think you had a conversation. If Laura Loomer's right and if she's brain dead.
Laura Loomer reported a day or two ago, Laura Loomer reported that her sources say that Mitch McConnell's brain dead.
Yep.
I don't know.
Well, and if he's not brain dead, if he's very, very, very in bad shape, then there's no talking to him. He might have went in there and sat there with him maybe and talked to him, but didn't get any responses maybe. But I'm telling you, he's lying. We just had a conversation about. And
Scott Jennings he didn't look comfortable telling the story either.
Yeah, exactly.
He just did not look comfortable telling the story at all.
Yeah, I don't know why the guy would go on TV and lie like
because
that.
Because his handlers told him to.
Yeah, because you got to do what you got to do, I guess. But man, I would have said no. I'm not going to. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to say I went to the hospital. I didn't ask him what was wrong. But then again,
I mean, we've seen Mitch McConnell on television the last couple of years. He couldn't talk for 1 minute and 17 seconds about much of anything. Right? Sure. And now he's had a 17-minute conversation from the hospital with Scott. I appreciate the call, Doug. I don't believe it at all. Let me play this for people that missed it in the last hour. This was Scott Jennings last night on CNN talking about this 17-minute conversation he had with Mitch McConnell yesterday. Anybody buy that? Yeah, I mean, this proof of life, this is like, the Supreme Leader's son. Give me a break. Where's the photograph of him in the hospital or talking on the phone or hearing his voice? Now, I don't buy it. And they are really stalling because they're trying to avoid this special election in Kentucky. A quick thing I want to mention, then we'll break for the bottom. And I know we've been on a bad schedule today. I'm trying to get us back on schedule. I'm reading a biography of Mary Pickford, the silent film actress. You guys know who Mary Pickford was? And it's really interesting. And the reason I'm reading it is it was Mary Pickford's idea for the movie business to move from the East Coast to California. And it was a pretty complex thing involving Thomas Edison. He had the rights to the film equipment, and you had to pay Thomas Edison a commission, a royalty on every movie you made. And at the time, they figured California was so far away that he wouldn't be able to enforce it. So Mary Pickford came up with this idea to go out there. And she's such an interesting person. So I'm reading this biography of hers, and which is interesting. And I picked up something that relates to the birthright citizenship. And this decision that came down last week, I want to share this real quick. I'm not going to go into the details of it. I put a detailed article about this on my X at Brian Craig Show that explains this. This birthright citizenship that's been perverted. We all know it's about establishing that slaves were citizens. The freed slaves were citizens. We all know this because the Supreme Court in Dred Scott ruled before the Civil War that slaves or former slaves were not U.S. citizens. So they passed the amendment to establish that the newly freed slaves were citizens. Everybody knows this. But it's being misused and perverted to repopulate our country, right, with the anchor babies and all this stuff. And we lost this decision last week. Well, as I'm reading about Mary Pickford, I knew she was married to Douglas Fairbanks. You know, she was a Canadian. She was born in Toronto. I did not know this. And when she married Douglas Fairbanks, she became a U.S. citizen. Well, in the early 1900s, a law was passed in the early 1900s that a woman's citizenship was based on her husband's citizenship. Meaning, I put a detailed article about this on my X. You can read the whole thing. Meaning that if you were like Mary Pickford, she was a Canadian. So if you were not a citizen of another country and you married an American man, you became a U.S. citizen automatically. This was true until the 1920s when they passed a new law. Well, listen to this. If you were an American woman, you could be born in New York City, you could be born in Kansas, okay? If you were as red-blooded American by birth and you were a woman, this was up until the 1920s with a new law they passed around 1907. So if you were an American girl, you were born in Kansas, and you married a man who was not a U.S. citizen, you were no longer a U.S. citizen. Your citizenship was immediately, without any notice, revoked, and you would become a citizen of his country. So why did they do this? And that would go for your children as well, right, that you had with the husband. In the early 1900s is when there was in the late 1800s and around 1900, there was this mass wave of immigration from Europe. People were coming here from Italy, from Germany, all over the place. And they were having an anchor baby problem back then. So people would marry a woman, right? Or a foreign woman who came here through Ellis Island would marry an American man, or an American man would marry vice versa, and they'd have kids. They did this to avoid anchor babies back then in the early 1900s. Because they knew this anchor baby problem has been a problem for over 100 years in the country. It started around 1890, and I was reading this biography of Mary Pickford. What's going on right now is not new. It's been a problem for about 130 years in the country. And they solved it for a long time. Because when these foreigners came here and married a woman, she was no longer a citizen, which meant her children were not citizens. And the children born to the immigrants in the early 1900s, they were not U.S. citizens either. And this was long after that amendment was passed. It blew my mind. I just stumbled across, I mean, why would I even be reading a biography of Mary Pickford? It's so strange. And then when I started reading it, and then I read, well, wow. It's like this book was given to me to understand the immigration crisis in a whole new way. I wish that our lawyers argued in front of the Supreme Court had read this book about Mary Pickford and knew. I don't think they knew about this. But the anchor baby thing has been a problem for a long time. And you know what? It was the Democrats who were doing it back then, too. All right, now listen, we're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour. We got a lot to cover. We've only just scratched the surface. I've got some new polls on the midterms that I have not gotten to yet. Steve Kane will be joining us. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. If you're on hold, stand by. You're welcome to call in about anything I've brought up so far. And I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on Scott Jennings last night on CNN. Has he destroyed his credibility for you forever? Is he lying? You know, why did Elaine Chao, Mitch McConnell's wife, 3 days after his cardiac arrest, fly to China and meet with the vice president of China? Is Laura Loomer right? Is Mitch McConnell brain dead? There's a lot of questions here. Our number, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. All right, we're clear, guys. All right. All right, we'll take a quick break and be right back.
Hi, Tom Laporte here. We are Laporte Roofing, a family business since 1980s.
I'll recap both of those with you when we get... Okay, hold on. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes. Okay, and... oh, boy. Let me see here. Okay. 1 second here. I got to get my copy together.
Don't forget all the stuff we talked about with our...
Yeah, I know. Don't say, but I know. Okay. Oh. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right, less than a minute. We'll be back.
Okay.
3. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, there's two. Let me go over the Mitch McConnell thing with you first, and then I'll talk about the two. There's 2 new things with Maine, and I'll do that after. But
okay.
Mitch McConnell is... Let me do that one first. So and then
Is it still relevant?
Oh, big. They're both relevant. They're both relevant. And this thing that Scott Jennings pulled last night was just crap. I mean, okay, hold on. All right, 5 seconds. All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Steve Kane joining us. Hey, Steve.
Good morning.
Okay, there's a lot going on, but there are two developments and two different stories. One is there's some new developments out of Maine with Platner, and then there's some big developments with Mitch McConnell. And I want to recap both of them with you. But I want to go over the Mitch McConnell one first because it's a little more complex, and they're both very important. Okay. We haven't talked about the Mitch McConnell thing on the program, but now there's a bit of a scandal going on. Okay. Oh boy. Oh no. Okay. Hold on. Okay. All right. Oh boy. I tell you, Steve. I'm a little overwhelmed back here because we got all kinds of problems. Okay. All right. I'm just letting him know. Okay. Mitch McConnell, they didn't confirm this right away, but a few days back they confirmed he had a major cardiac arrest, was taken to the hospital, and he hasn't really been seen, it seems like, for weeks now. No one has seen Mitch McConnell. There's been there was a lot of reporting, and then they finally confirmed that he did have a cardiac arrest. In the last few days, a handful of things have happened that are big developments. One, 2 days ago, a story broke that 3 days after Mitch McConnell's cardiac arrest, when he was taken and put in intensive care, his wife, Elaine Chao, who many believe is a Chinese spy, I believe she's a Chinese spy, she's from a very rich and prominent family in China. 3 days after Mitch McConnell's cardiac arrest, when he was in intensive care in the hospital, his wife flew to China and had a private meeting with the vice president of China. Very bizarre. Very bizarre. We don't know what that meeting was about. We can only speculate. My guess is they're trying to figure out what are they going to do when they lose one of their chief assets for the CCP, and that would be Mitch McConnell.
Right.
That's one. Two, Laura Loomer. Now, nobody has seen nor heard anything about him since he's been in the hospital. We haven't seen a photograph. We haven't seen a press conference with a doctor. Nothing. Just leaks. Laura Loomer reported.
Why does it matter?
I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it. That's the end of the story. A day or two ago, Laura Loomer reported that her sources say that Mitch McConnell's brain dead and being kept alive on life support. And she has a 100% accuracy rate with her reporting, Laura Loomer. Okay? And then last night, I'm not going to play it now, but I played it just before the bottom of the hour break. Last night, Scott Jennings on CNN, he's the conservative on CNN. Now understand, Scott Jennings came up through the ranks being mentored by Mitch McConnell. He worked for Mitch McConnell. He worked on multiple Senate campaigns of Mitch McConnell and is a longtime friend and
close with Mitch McConnell.
Close. Well, Steve, if you're going to discount everything I say, why am I telling the story?
No. I'm just trying to.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I mean, you're just kind of discounting. You're like, so what? You know, I'm getting to it. This is a big deal.
No. I'm sure you've got a good reason. I just want you to get to
Okay. Well, I am, but you know, there's context. You got to understand what's going on. So Scott Jennings on CNN came up through the ranks through Mitch McConnell. He worked on multiple Senate campaigns and is a longtime advisor of Mitch McConnell's. Scott Jennings also worked for G.W. Bush in the White House and also worked on his presidential campaign. So Scott Jennings, who does a great job on television with these pundits, which I enjoy, and he does great work. He's a Mitch McConnell Bush Republican. He's with the rhinos. Let's face it. And Mitch McConnell and those around him are obstructionists to Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. They've stopped the Save America Act and God only knows what else, okay? So last night, Scott Jennings goes on television, and when I watched the video, he looks like he's lying through his teeth, says he had a 17-minute conversation with Mitch McConnell talking about all the important political issues in the news of the day. No one believes this. I mean, this guy is as with it as the supreme leader in Iran. We haven't seen any photographs, any video, nor heard his voice. And the body language of Scott Jennings on CNN looked like a man who was lying. Okay, so why are they doing this? Why are they stalling? Okay, here's what's going on. Mitch McConnell is not running for re-election, so in November there will be an election, and there will be a new senator replacing Mitch McConnell in January in the Senate. Okay?
Right.
They have been promoting in the news and the rumor mill that, the governor of Kentucky is a Democrat. So what they've been promoting is that, well, if Mitch McConnell dies or resigns in office, the Democrat governor will appoint his replacement to finish out the term, and we're going to have a Democrat senator. That is not true. The way it works, if Mitch McConnell resigns or dies in office, and Laura Loomer, brain dead's dead. She's reporting he's dead, right? Brain dead. That is not true. The way it works in Kentucky, this is Kentucky law. This is different in every state, but this is Kentucky law. If Mitch McConnell resigns or dies in office, the governor, even though he's a Democrat, is required by Kentucky law within 29 days to have a special election to elect a senator to finish out the term. They're stalling. The Republican establishment, working with the uniparty of the Democrats, are stalling because they do not want to have a special election, which will probably get us a MAGA Republican elected, right, to the Senate seat in Kentucky. And maybe Thune will no longer be the majority leader for the rest of the term of the year. Maybe we'll get the Save America Act passed. And this.
I'm confused. Why would the election result be different if it was a special election or if they came at the regular time?
Well, because if there's a if Mitch McConnell, if what Laura Loomer is reporting is true, that he's brain dead, okay, the special election would give us a new senator next month, August. If they
just till the end of the term, right?
Well, yeah, but Steve, that's half the year. If we wait until the regular election, brain dead Mitch McConnell will be the senator until January. Okay? So the Republican establishment, the Mitch McConnell Bush Republicans, and then they have Scott Jennings out here blowing his credibility, helping them with this plot, are trying to stop the special election because they're afraid it'll probably, if we get a special election and we get a MAGA senator in there, John Thune is in big trouble, and we might get that Save America Act passed, and he may not be the majority leader. So they're trying to preserve their power in the Senate, the Republican establishment. They're stalling. And what they're doing, it's a Democrat tactic, what they're doing. And
so what are you assuming that he is your theory that McConnell's dead and they're trying to cover it up?
Well, I know that Laura Loomer is 100% accurate in her reporting always, and she says her sources say he's brain dead. So they do not, the Republican establishment are terrified of a special election. They're terrified of having a MAGA Republican plugged in there. And John Thune is the biggest obstructionist President Trump has right now, right? And without that Mitch McConnell seat in his pocket, with a MAGA Republican there, it could change everything, and we could get that Save America Act passed. And by the way, that Save America Act would if it were done this soon, would go into effect all over the country before the November election, which would be very important. Okay, proof of citizenship to vote, that would change everything. So the Republican establishment are stalling the announcement of what's going on with Mitch McConnell because they're trying to stop Trump. It's part of the Trump derangement syndrome obstructionism. So we got to take our last break of the second hour. I'd like to hear your thoughts on all this. Maybe I'm nuts, but I don't think so. But oftentimes crazy people don't know they're crazy. But I think my take on this is spot on and right on. Okay, we're going to take our break and be right back. All right, Steve, I got to put you on hold. Hold on. Okay.
I'm just worried.
No, don't. Well, I can't. Well, just hold on. Oh my goodness! I got another big story too. Hold on, just happened. Okay, a little less than a minute. Stand by. Hold on. I'm gonna bring Barry in. Barry, just under a minute, and we'll be back. Hang in there. Okay. All right, 30 seconds. All right, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Hey, Brian, good morning. You know, one of the things that a lot of people have concerns about, either in the future or they're losing sleep over it now, is the cost of long-term care. And you may have a loved one, whether it be a spouse, a parent, aunt, uncle, someone in your life that is already receiving care, and they're spending down their assets. And you may have no idea that there are solutions. You might be thinking, well, they don't have long-term care insurance, or they ran out of long-term care insurance, so now we're on our own and we just have to spend down the money until it's gone. And then potentially you could qualify for Medicaid at that point. But here's the problem in that thinking, or that lack of knowledge, is that that person very likely could qualify for Medicaid now while they have their assets, keep their assets, even if their assets are too high, even if their income is too high. That's one of the things that we at the Siegel Law Group as elder law attorneys do, is we help families in this exact situation so that they don't have to spend down their assets and go broke. So if, like I said, if a loved one is either already receiving care and spending down their assets, or about to need care, maybe they're in the hospital, maybe they're in rehab, and are they going back home? Are they going to a nursing home? Any of those situations, Medicaid can help, and that's what we do. We help people qualify for government benefits, specifically Medicaid. And Medicaid, of course, what you're going to jump to the conclusion is that you have too much assets or too much income or both, and that may not necessarily be the case. So if you have anyone in that situation, you should be calling us. That could save you and your family a bunch of money and a bunch of peace of mind, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah, and just a heads up. I mean, this I'm sure you see this sadly happen. People think wrongly, right, Barry, that they have to spend down all their assets and go through all their money before they qualify. And I bet you sometimes people come to you and they've done all that already. That you do not have to do that, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we've had people come in, unfortunately, multiple times where it's too late. They didn't realize, or by the time we're doing it, maybe they had, $1 million to protect. Now they're down to 50,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
Which even that is still worthwhile for them to do it, but on the other side of it, they could have protected a lot more of their assets.
Yeah, don't spend down your. That's right. Don't spend down your assets. Call the Siegel Law Group. Remember, the consultation is free for that in-office consultation. And before you do anything, talk to the Siegel Law Group. Give them a call toll free 855 FLA 3782. 855 FLA 3782 and online SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel. We'll talk later in the week.
All right, Brian. Thanks.
All right, take care. All right, we're back. Okay, we got a couple big announcements, Steve, during the break from the President of the United States, okay, who's dropping things in Europe. One, he's announced all trade with Spain. This is over their NATO. They're not paying their NATO dues. They're not helping us out.
Right.
All trade with Spain is completely cut off. No trade, no visits, nothing. So he's done everything except cut off final diplomatic relations. So that's a big announcement from involving Spain. And let me tell you, they may be on siesta and not think they need us, but they do not want to. They don't want to cut off the United States. That just happened. And he also announced the ceasefire with Iran is over. So we're at war again. He said the ceasefire is over. So we're now at war.
It's about time.
Yeah. Well, you know what Iran did was Iran's all about poking the bear, right? They're insane. They're fanatics, and they fired on a ship in the Strait of Hormuz or in the area, and they did not.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, and because President Trump is in Turkey, which is in the region, they didn't think there would be any U.S. response because the president's in the region, and there was a massive response to that yesterday, caught them off guard. So even though the president's over there, so it's over. I mean,
What's the update on the main thing? That I'm really into that.
Really? Why are you into that one so much? What is it about what is it about the Graham Platner thing that has you?
Oh, I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
This could be the thing. You asked a good question. It cut right to the chase. The thing that's so great about the Platner thing is it has the potential to be the turning point in this whole Islamic thing that we're involved in. That's a threat to the nation. This is the first loss they've had, and it's messy, and it portends to get even messier. And it's terrific.
Well, okay. So there's a couple updates. Okay, with the Graham Platner, I went over these earlier in the show, but I'll do. He has refused to drop out, and the New York.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I wanted to point out.
Yeah.
That these people think they got a free ride with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be able to. It's not going to be so easy for them to get rid of him.
No.
I think this guy's a fanatic.
Yeah.
And I think this is the only thing he's got clinging to. And when this is over, he's in trouble with his life. And the stakes are very high for him. And I think he's going to give them a harder time than they're anticipating.
Well,
that's what I see.
The New York Post said that people that work on his staff are saying that he wants to be able to approve who they plug in to replace him with, and they're not going to give him that. And they only have 6 days left.
Well, but that's what the urgency was, another thing that makes it a great story to talk about on the air.
So that's
because I mean, there's a real countdown going on.
So that's the first thing. He is openly refusing to drop out, and he won the primary, so he doesn't have to drop out. You know, he won the primary, so they don't understand. They dropped a new.
Oh, they understand.
No.
I think they understand.
No.
I don't think they.
No.
I think they walked into it blindly. I don't think they thought it through fully.
No, they don't know how to get rid of him. They don't
exactly right.
They don't understand. They dropped another scummy story about him yesterday, and you're talking about a Nazi who's a loser, who doesn't have a job. This oyster farmer thing is nonsense. It's not really what he is. He goes and finds some oysters to give to his mommy's restaurant. Okay, I mean he's not a They got another scummy story about him, but that I'll tell you about. But when you're dealing with a Nazi lowlife loser bum like this guy, these scummy things, they have no effect on him.
Lunatic. The guy's a lunatic.
I think he likes these stories. Well, the new story they have about him, they got another ex-girlfriend who talked yesterday, and she said that when they were together, that and they were having sex, he would, without her knowledge, sneak removing the condom. and he knew she wasn't on birth control. And then he would continue having sex without her knowledge, without a condom on, which is a sexual assault, by the way. If you remove a condom without the knowledge of the woman, you have committed a sexual assault. So they got him on another sexual assault claim. None of this is going to work. And what's going on with Platner, there's a couple things here. You know, what they're trying to do, I think what happened was this, Steve. I think that they're polling, it's not about Maine, it's about around the country. They've been doing polling around the country, I believe, the Democrats, and because they've got this Nazi on the ticket in Maine, it's been affecting the races in other states.
Absolutely.
He's been doing well
Absolutely.
he's been doing well in Maine and may have won the Maine race without all this stuff happening, but he was hurting them in other places. So that's why they want him out.
But this is a huge story. It has the potential to do what we haven't thought possible, which is to end this nightmare.
Well,
commie run that they're involved in.
But here's what the Democrats are doing. Graham Platner won the primary. The people went out and voted, and apparently, according to Graham Platner, they had a huge turnout. He got a huge number of votes, broke some records on the number of votes he got in a primary for a Democrat in the state. That's what he says. I don't know if I don't take the word of a Nazi, but that's what he says.
Not necessarily a pillar of total.
Yeah, he's a Nazi. But that's his story, and he's sticking with it. But he won the primary. So what they're trying to do to Graham Platner is what they did to Joe Biden with Kamala.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to get rid of him.
Well, what they're trying to, it's not just get rid of him. It's a little more complex than that. This is what happened. With Graham Platner and Biden, right? Both of them won the primary. They went through the entire primary process and won. Now they got some, on the eve of things, they've got with some deadlines coming up. With Biden, they had the Democrat National Convention. With Platner, they've got this July 15th deadline, right, for the ballot. So who's on the ballot? So the person wins the primaries, Biden and Platner. Then the polls turn against them, and they want to do away with the entire voting process and just plug someone in who didn't get a single vote.
Exactly right. That's the Democratic way, isn't it?
And this is a very dangerous precedent because if they do it again, which they're trying hard to do, what's the point of the primary? They'll start doing this in every election when the polls are starting to turn around on them, and
It's making the whole party look bad.
Well,
it goes way beyond just this incident.
It's making the primary process useless, is what it's doing, and
it's showing what this is the same thing as you pointed out quite rightly. The Democrats are revealing who they really are.
Now listen, we're out of time for the hour, so if you're on hold, stand by. But I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret because they have an incredible offer that's continuing this week that will end without notice for America's 250th 4th of July celebration. It's continuing even after the 4th of July. Coastal Weight Loss Secret, where you've seen my miraculous weight loss, right? I've got a flat stomach again. I've got my jawline back. I got a square jaw. My neck is back. I've lost all this weight. I've kept it off. You can do it too. And Coastal Weight Loss Secret is offering you for the 4th of July 250th anniversary special $400 off. You heard that right, $400 off. Give them a call, 561-247-6300. Remember, they can help you lose weight no matter where you're located. This discount will end without notice. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. We'll take our break for the top of the hour, come back with Steve Kane. I'm Brian Craig, and your calls after this.
because of you, not the other way around. The 2026 rainy season is upon us. Because we haven't had a hurricane in 2 years, all the storm chaser roofing companies are going out of business, leaving only the strongest and the best contractors. At LaPorta Roofing, we will never sell you a roof you don't need. We don't have salesmen or commissions, so we will never pressure you to sign a contract. Also, deposits are not required. At LaPorta Roofing, you will always come first. We must earn your trust, and we will. So call.
Okay, less than a minute. We'll be back. All right.
Brian, are you there?
Yeah, hold on. We're coming back. Stand by.
Can we go to the phones when we get back?
Hold on. All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. And of course, this is Florida's longest running radio show. And the 8 o'clock hour has begun. All right.
I feel like we've been monopolizing the show.
Well, there's a lot going on.
Listeners haven't gotten a word in.
Nah, that's true. Well, there's a lot of news going on. I mean, this,
Well, all right, that's good. The news is good, but I don't want to lose the feel of the audience.
No. Well, you're welcome to call in about anything we brought up so far, and we brought up a lot, whether it's the Mitch McConnell story, the Platner story, or these others. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're tuned in from, 888-465-2631. But I was looking at the new polls today, and at the state level, I may be off by 1 or 2, but there's 10 or 11 Democrat senators that are incumbents that aren't running for re-election, right? And there's some seats that are in play, and one in particular is they've got this Muslim guy that's running in Michigan.
Yeah, he's a bad dude.
Yeah, well, he's doing very well in the Democrat primary, but in the Republican head-to-head, he's not polling well. And Michigan is an open seat. So we may get actually a pickup of a seat in Michigan. And this, first off, while the guy is well-spoken and sounds like an American, he looks to me kind of scary. Have you seen him? Yeah. Abdul al-Sayed. I'm not sure. Abdul al-Sayed.
Kind of scary.
Yeah, he does. He looks scary. I mean, if you would avoid this guy if you saw him. I mean, he's but he doesn't know it, right? And the people in his circle, they think he looks awesome. But he's doing well in the primaries, but he's not doing well up against the Republican in the general with the polling right now. And it's really amazing. We're in a new era of campaigning with the internet, okay? And what's happened is these activists, most people that run for public office in the Democrat Party these days are activists, and they've made their way to run for public office. Okay.
Swing activists.
Yeah. Yeah. But what happens in the modern era is that they have an internet footprint, and they're busted on things you couldn't bust people on before. Back in the old days, like Joe Biden, when he was running, he has a whole history of all kinds of crazy things, the plagiarism and all these things. But because there was no now everybody, they put something out, once it's online forever. It can't be removed. And people have cameras everywhere recording everything, and people go online and say things. And these Democrats are being busted lying all the time. So this Saeed al-Saeed, or whatever his name, Abdul al-Saeed, whatever his name is, he got busted in a big lie that he said he never supported or said that the police should be defunded. Well, that's all he used to talk about just a short couple years ago. And they got everything. And what's happened is, in the old days, we used to get tricked by candidates and politicians, right? They would be maybe a radical years ago, but by the time they were running for office, they'd come off as normal. And you would never know because there was no internet. Now with social media and TikTok and YouTube and X and everything, they can't clean up their act like they used to be able to do, right? They cannot clean up their act. And this al-Saeed guy is in big trouble, and he's one of the most important to defeat. You know, when he wins, he's favored to win the primary, so they'll be celebrating him when he wins the primary like he's the second coming, right? The new Mamdani Midwest in Michigan. But he is expected to lose against the Republican. The polls are showing that he will not win against the Republican, and we got to really promote that because, and those of you in Michigan really got to, let your friends know, because what they're gonna try to do is celebrate him as the victor of the Senate race in the general election when he wins the primary, to try to reduce the turnout in Michigan, thinking it's hopeless, but it's not. If we have a good turnout in Michigan, he will lose. And the worst thing that could happen to us is to have a Mamdani-like figure in the United States Senate, like this Abdul. If you think AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar are bad in the House, you get a United States senator. Senators are a big deal, right? I mean, they're like almost equal to the president. They're very prominent. They're there for 6 years. This guy goes in the Senate, it's bad news. Bad news. And once someone gets in the Senate, it's usually a lifetime deal, right? It's unusual.
It's scary. It's a scary time, is the bottom line.
Well, if this guy gets in the Senate, he's going to be bigger than Mamdani, and we're going to see a lot of other people like him be backed and run. So he's very important to win.
That's why to bring this full cycle. That's why the Maine race is so important, because if they get bloodied up enough in Maine could kill the whole election for the Republicans if it gets messy enough. That's one of the reasons I love the story.
Well, next month is when we're going to start to get, like, our primaries next month, right? The primaries that have happened so far are kind of early primaries, right? Most of the primaries start next month around the country. And if they get away in Maine with getting Graham Platner out and plugging someone new in who didn't get a single primary vote, they're going to do this all over the country. They're going to have a bunch of people win primaries, right, with the activists. See, this is what happens in midterm elections, okay? And this is the history of the midterm elections.
Well, this is what's going on now. It has never happened before.
Not with a Nazi, but and these Muslims.
With the whole communist thing.
Well, but what happens in primaries and off-year elections is things get radical and you get lunatics that are extreme.
One of the things that's happened in the last day or two, which is a turnaround that is welcome, is that the Democrats are starting to take action because of this Maine case. Another reason why that story is of primary importance, because now the people who have to take this on, the Democrats, because the scandal is in their backyard. They're the ones that are looking. They're going to do more to the Democratic Party with this story than
yeah.
You
well,
know what I'm saying.
if they replace Graham,
the Republicans.
If they replace Graham Platner next week, I give you an example. This is why I'm bringing up Michigan. If they're successful in replacing Graham Platner before the deadline, right? This Muslim guy in Michigan, he wins the primary, and we get down the road a little bit, and they realize he's going to lose. They're going to take him out of the running and plug somebody else in there too, before the ballot deadline in Michigan. What the Democrats are trying to do with Graham Platner will be the second time they've been successful, if they do it, because of getting Kamala in there without any primary votes. And we really have to stand up and stop them from disenfranchising the primary voters when they get some bad polling data and they get these do-overs all the time, you know? And who knows who they plug in some of these races. They may plug in people that are more charismatic and on the surface look okay, and there's not enough time to learn about them. The primary process, you know, the thing about the primaries, the voters vote, but also you get to know about the candidates. They kind of get vetted publicly. And with these
But that only has meaning in the Republican Party. Democrats don't need. If you look at the last election with Kamala and how the thing with Biden was handled, the history with the Democratic Party is they're cutting the voters out of it.
But that's the first time they ever did it.
I'm not sure.
I've never seen in a presidential race. I've never seen them nominate someone in my. They may have done this, you know, 100 years before, but in my lifetime, they never gave someone the nomination who did not get one primary vote. Never have seen that. And
maybe not to that degree, but there's a lot of things been going on in the proverbial smoke-filled rooms for a long time.
Yeah,
in the Democratic
but
Party.
but if they do that with Graham Platner again, disenfranchise all the primary voters of Maine and plug someone in who didn't get a vote. And they say, oh, well, Abdul's not polling. He won the primary, but he's not polling well. They'll do it.
If they do it again, it could backfire on them.
They're going to do it.
Expose their problems.
They're going to do it with everybody that has a bad polling result before the ballot deadline everywhere. So they get multiple shots at who their nominees are. We got to stop them from doing this. Now, I want to tell everyone about Sloman Central Air Conditioning. You know, I tell you, every day it's so hot. The heat index is over 102 every day. And you don't want to be living that way in Florida. You can't live that way. Air conditioning that is working properly and cooling your home is life in Florida. And Sloman Central Air Conditioning has an incredible offer. With Sloman Central Air Conditioning, you can get a high-efficiency 5-ton 18-SEER system that uses R454B refrigerant for just $59.99. Wow, it's incredibly low price with 0 down, 0 payment, 0 interest for 18 months. It comes with a 5-year bumper-to-bumper service plan, which includes annual system maintenance, filter replacement, and refrigerant. So there's no annual maintenance cost. And you'll also receive the Sloman Shield home security system installed with 5 years of professional central station monitoring included with your AC package. Give them a call right now, 561-217-COOL. 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 We'll be right back. Back in a minute. Just over a minute, we'll be back.
Okay.
It's a mess. All right, less than a minute. We'll be back.
Okay. Don't lose me.
All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. We just had the 4th of July over the weekend, and, you set your calendar by so many things. You've got this date coming up, you've got that date coming up, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. And there's things you do every year, like eye exams and such, your annual physical with your doctor. But does that include your heart scan? This is amazing, Steve. These stories I'm hearing from listeners of ours that have taken our advice and gone over to life imaging for the heart scan. It blows my mind, and it's really amazing. We have had listeners in this audience who found out that they had blockage in every one of their arteries that had no symptoms, but they went to life imaging for the heart scan and found out they do, and they're able to have it taken care of before they have a heart attack. We've had listeners find out they have cancer, and they had no idea. And there have been listeners that have found out they've had other heart conditions as well. Because so many of these conditions, you don't have any symptoms until you have that widowmaker heart attack. And that's the case in 30 to 40% of cases. Life Imaging FLA have locations in Broward, Palm Beach, Dade, and Orlando. Call Life Imaging FLA for your free heart scan now with a few minimum requirements valued at $699. From your cell, call pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250, say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. So not only did Trump say, so we've got a little addition here, not only did Trump say the ceasefire with Iran is over, he said these are his words. He said the deal is a waste of time. I've never heard him say that before. The deal is a waste of time. So that's it. So what does that mean? Total war?
It means it's another move on the chessboard is what it means. He's rattling their cage to scare the crap out of them because that's the only thing that has any effectiveness.
I don't think they can be scared. Oh,
yeah. They called him pretty fast last time he pulled a bombing campaign.
Yeah, but
and begged him to stop.
The Iranians are like children, right? They with their parents. Okay, chicken. I call chicken, and then you back off. I mean, there's no dealing with them. They're fanatic. They'll never
and
cave.
Worse than fanatic, they're liars.
Yeah. Let me hold on, see if I answer some of these lines. But what I'm curious about is what targets are left, right? I mean, we've been blowing them up for months. All right. Do you want to take some calls, Steve?
Yes, I think that would be nice.
All right. Okay. If you'd like to call in, the number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, good morning, Brian. Chris from Pamela.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Good. Oh, yes, a lot going on, but
Hey, Christopher, how are you today?
Oh, that's right, Steve. Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Good.
Good. Yeah. Oh, July already, 250th.
Yeah.
I'm very patriotic, but I got a call from my buddy this morning that he's in the hospital. Went in 2 days ago. I'm like, when did this happen? So again, like imaging, I'm taking that more serious because he just had 70% blockage. They put in 2 stents. I'm like, wow, wait a minute, you're stronger and healthier than I am.
Yeah,
So yes, your audience take that very serious. I'm actually looking into that now.
Awesome.
I'm on blood pressure medication, but they did say that I don't have any, how can you say circulation
Meanwhile,
issues?
back in Iraq.
Iran.
Yeah, meanwhile back in Iraq, I know.
Iran.
In Iran, I'm glad about the ceasefire. I mean, because it was like you guys pretty much say it every day. This pit-pat, ticky-tack stuff. There's distractions of obviously Iranians that do not ever want this to happen. There are those that want to move forward, obviously, but President Trump warned us about that, and this is just where we are. So, gosh, maybe in Israel they weren't too crazy about saying, "Hey, don't ever trust him at all." But everyone's not bad. So over there in Iran, but it's just not going to work until more things progress. So,
Well, one thing I don't accept is something we've been told for years, that the Iranian people are really on our side. I've seen, this has been going on for months. I've seen no action from the Iranian people that would indicate that they're against the regime that's there.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I guess a little bit of both. Maybe they're suppressing that. I know we didn't get a lot of people over here condemning 9/11 either. In fact, anyone that we did see were all.
Well, but this is not equivalent. I mean, the United States is not like Iran. In Iran, when you open your mouth and you speak up against the existing regime, they put a bullet between
But if there was, we've been bombing them for months. If there was some kind of resistance over there, wouldn't we? I would think we would have had them armed up. We have so many CIA and Mossad people over there. That was how we were able to be so effective with our initial strikes on the supreme leader. To me, the only thing that's going to settle it is if they're completely destroyed. And what are we bombing right now? I thought we took everything out. What's left to bomb?
Well, it's unfortunate.
Well, we obviously didn't take everything out.
Like Steve said.
Maybe that was another exaggeration we got from our president.
I don't know.
Well, you never know, but hey, if anybody knows, President Trump's getting the right information, so of course we can see what's going on a little bit as far as progress. So, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, Brian, but you and Steve are both right that on one hand, goodness, there'll never be peace over there from a large number of their citizens over there, and then on the other hand, those who do want
the
peace
thing that
will
Iran, one of the things with Iran is they've told us that the population over there, the general population, is rather young, right? And that means that they know no other way except what they've been brainwashed with the Islamic Republic, because most everybody there that's an adult was born after the Islamic Revolution. And, but there's, not only has Iran been a problem since '79, the way they're behaving, they've been killing Americans in large numbers. You mentioned Iraq a little bit ago. The Iranians were behind all the IEDs used against U.S. forces in Iraq. So anytime you see one of those Tunnel to Tower commercials or Wounded Warrior commercials on Fox, and some guy is getting a mortgage-free home that has the lowered counters and everything because he's in a wheelchair, that's because of Iran, as he's that way, right? So I mean, Iran has been nothing but a murderous nation for 50 years. They've got to be obliterated if we want to end this. There's no path to any type of peace with them as long as they're there.
The fact is, there's been a major change. In addition to what we've been talking about this morning, there's a major change going on in the scenario because the elections have been in everybody's thinking, and as soon as the elections come and go, the United States' reluctance to strike back in a major way is only going to be supplemented. Don't you agree?
Yeah. All right, Chris. Well, I appreciate the call, and have a great day. All right, thanks for the call. All right, the number is toll free 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I want to talk about Brighton Dental. Steve and I, we were talking about Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental a little bit yesterday.
Yes.
And
my dentist.
Yeah, Brighton Dental and Dr. Gupta have been with the Steve Kane Show for many, many, many years. And, the thing about Dr. Gupta and Brighton Dental, he's a top dentist. with top level skill and education. And if you're worried about painless dentistry, don't worry, because it is 100% comfortable and painless, and he's highly skilled and everything else. But I was telling you guys yesterday, when I hear people talking about dentists on other programs, right? They're all talking about the pain from the dental work, and that's of course that's a concern, and of course that's a concern that will be taken care of by Dr. Gupta because there's medications for that. But I think that the biggest pain people worry about with dentistry isn't the pain, the physical pain. I think it's the pain of the cost, and I think the number one.
The cost is one thing. You're right on the money because a lot of places are very overpriced.
Oh my goodness!
That's one thing about Dr. Gupta's prices. I like to call them family oriented. They're reasonable prices. You're never going to go broke.
That's right.
Keeping your teeth in good order, because that's the kind of guy Dr. Gupta is. He's a man you can relate to. One of the things, there's two things about the dentistry that I feel Dr. Gupta is very, very strong with. Number one, is the pain we talked about.
Yes.
But and the financial thing. But in addition to that, the thing that the anxiety. When I go into the dentist before Dr. Gupta, I'd always be anxious, and I'm a terrible dental patient. I'll tell you that. And Dr. Gupta has a lot of patience to deal with me, but he is really great. He's a home-style dentist with home-style prices.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one more thing about Dr. Gupta that's very important, right? An old-fashioned dentist with old-fashioned prices, but also this, okay? A lot of these dentists, you go in there, they got these South Beach prices, right? I mean, which are insane, which are Beverly Hills prices.
Right.
They do something which is insane to me, and it's a real turnoff. I've seen this happen so many times. You go in there for one thing, and then they're telling you need 12 other things. When you go into Dr. Gupta, you're not going to have that happen. He's a great guy. He's a friend of the show. He's been with us for many years. Call Dr. Gupta over at Brighton Dental, 954-922-4633. 954-922-4633. That's 954-922-4633. For Dr. Gupta, Steve Kane's family dentist at Brighton Dental. We'll be right back. All right, Steve, I'm going to put you on hold, okay?
Okay.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. Stay asleep at night, and I wake up more well rested in the morning.
Now for the lowest price ever. Kings, $19.98. Queens, only $18.98. And Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, for as low as $29.98. Luxbeer 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you, one separate towel, $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But that's not all. Order right now and we'll ship your order absolutely free.
Oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? Oh my goodness. Ugh, I'm in big trouble here. Big trouble. All right, Steve, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay, we got about 2 minutes. We'll be back.
Okay.
Okay, are you there, Steve?
Yes, I am.
Okay, about 1 minute. Hold on. All right. All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. Steve is here. I'm Brian. If you're on hold, stand by. I want to make this announcement because this is going to end without notice. I'm just going to get a text or an email before I go on the air. I check every day, and I have not gotten it yet. And that is this incredible special for America's 250th anniversary, A Coastal Weight Loss Secret. I'm here to tell you, I've been on one weight loss program my entire life, and it worked, and I've kept all the weight off. And it's called Coastal Weight Loss Secret. I did it without exercise, without starving myself, without any shots, without any pills, and eating foods I would normally eat. In fact, I'm even having, I've even got some Airheads I got here in the studio that I eat sometimes, and I've kept all the weight off. But right now, Coastal Weight Loss Secret for America's 250th anniversary is offering $400 off. You heard me right, $400 off. This is a limited time offer, so call them right now and schedule your no-charge consultation. Remember, they can help you lose weight no matter where you're located in America or the world. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. All right, Steve, you want to take some more calls?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Louisiana.
Hey, Louisiana.
Hey, Brian.
Speak up, speak up.
What's that?
Speak up.
Speak up.
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yes.
Okay. My thing is, I'm hearing about Iran and how they are kind of threatening us. They're pretty much threatening us. So what are we waiting for?
We've been bombing them the last 2 days.
It's like, okay. It's like, I agree with that. See, it's them or us, dude. Like, and I like my life, you know? So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. It's
Yeah.
them or us, though.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there's-
Thank you very much.
That was amazingly intellectual analysis of the Mideast conflict.
Oh, my God.
Isn't that great? I learned a lot. That's right. Some people are still,
Anyway.
well, hey, 4th of July, some people are still hungover. You're on the air. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Michael in New Jersey.
No.
Mike.
I appreciate the call. You know, the thing about
What was that?
nothing. It was nothing. You know, the thing about Iran, though, you see, the solution. I mean, what can you do? What we're going to find out, and we're going to find out pretty quick, what can actually be done without a ground invasion? Because I mean, we're in it now, right? I mean, we're in it. There's no. It's, you know, it's. We can't get out until it's finished, right? So can we finish what's going on with Iran without an invasion, Steve? Is it possible? Can it be done with just an air and bombing campaign?
I
Because,
think we're about to find out.
well, what I don't get is how do they have any boats left? We got rid of their navy, and they have these little boats. I mean, you know, and I know Pete Hegseth and Trump know what they're doing, but why can't we just blow up wherever they dock boats, the marinas and everything on the coast? I don't understand how they have a single boat to go out and attack these unarmed tankers. You know, and what the Iranians do is what they always do, right? The Iranians, they do the same thing, right? They figure that, okay, Trump's got 2.5 years left. will just keep dragging him along, kicking the can. You know, it's like Mitch McConnell, how they don't want to announce what the deal
they've
is.
been very successful at it so far. So, you know, if we're willing to put up with it, they're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think the moderating force has been the elections, but now that the elections are approaching and we're about to put them in a rearview mirror, Iran's going to have less leverage.
Well, I don't see, you know, President Trump, he's over there with NATO, but he's in Turkey, so, and this campaign's going on. So he's meeting with these guys over there, but I don't see President Trump doing a ground invasion of Iran. I just don't see that.
I don't think he's going to do a ground. I don't think he has to.
Yeah. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
But he's caught between the rock and the hard place because he wants to do damage, but he doesn't want to destroy the country so that they can't function for the next 2 decades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's a hard job.
Yeah, that's exactly right. No, that's exactly right. Well,
for which he's being underpaid.
Yeah, but you know, the only thing that the Democrats, not that this is going to give them a win, but the one thing the Democrats would be pushing on, well, there's 2 things, but it's both related around. One are gas prices, right? So if the negotiations are over, President Trump said that the deal is a waste of time, the ceasefire's over, right? Hold on, I'm answering all these lines. If all those things are true, the gas prices are going to go through the roof, right? So that's like the one thing that
I don't know if that's true.
We'll find out.
They'll probably go up a little bit, but I don't think they're going to go through the roof.
Mm-hmm. We'll find out.
I think it's going to be over. I don't think it's going to take that long. Once he starts, the getting him to commit is what's been taking all the time.
Yeah.
Once he decides, if he makes this decision, he's going to knock him out. That would probably be a quicker operation.
Yeah. Well, listen, let me take another call or 2, and then we'll break, okay? The show's flying by. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Jeff. I'm calling from Jupiter Farms.
Hey.
I would like to know... Excuse me?
Hello.
Yeah, yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I'm Steve. Yes.
Oh, Steve. Yeah, listen. I got to tell you, first of all, I love Donald Trump. I'd go back in the Army for him if I was a young man. But what I don't understand is, why don't we blow up their electrical generating plants, put them in the dark, turn out their air conditioning? They'll all come to the peace table wanting true peace.
Agreed.
With their tails between their legs.
Agreed.
You're not invading. Put out their electricity.
I think he's walking, if you want an answer, I think he's walking the line. I think he wants to damage them enough to make them fall in line, but I don't think he wants to damage them to the point where they're back in the Stone Age for the next 40 years and where it puts a crimp in the world's economy.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of plates in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were just saying a little while ago on the radio, that's their game. They just play the waiting game. They wait us out till we get another president or somebody in their favor. I say...
Well, I don't think Trump's going to wait that long. I don't think Trump's going to wait
Well,
that long.
when Trump said today, by the way, welcome to the program. I'm assuming, are you new to the show from Jupiter Farms?
Yeah, Jeff.
Yeah, from one of our new radio stations, so welcome to the show. You know, today is the first time President Trump said the deal is a waste of time. He's never said that before. He's always said, okay, we're close, they want a deal. Now he said it's a waste of time. So what you're talking about is the next step, the power plants, the water plants, the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My God, you don't have to knock them all out. Just give them a taste of it. They'll understand.
Exactly.
They had a taste in case they forgot. He could give them another taste in the last 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they'll be back whining. The question is he going to take them back?
You've got to turn off their electricity.
Exactly. And their water plants. Hey, appreciate the call and welcome to the show. Always like our new listeners. All right, we got time for another call or 2. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Chester, Atlanta.
Hey, Chester. How's Marshall doing?
Marshall?
I say, how's Marshall doing?
Go ahead, caller.
Who's Marshall?
Go ahead. Oh, my goodness. Go ahead, caller.
Go ahead. Forget I said it.
Well, I got a question about Iran. Do you guys think it's a mistake?
What's a mistake? That's vague.
Attacking Iran?
No.
No?
I would have, if it was me, I would have attacked him long before this. I say yes, in a word.
What are we going to get out of Iran? What is the end goal? What are you hoping? What does winning look like?
We're going to get rid of any remnants of nuclear bombs or equipment that they have.
And there's another thing too, Steve.
We're gonna stabilize the region so the world economy can run smoothly.
And let me add another thing onto that, Steve. If you've noticed in the several months that this Iran combat operation has been going on, there hasn't been a lot of Islamic terrorism going on around the world. It was all coming from Iran, and President Trump has stopped it.
Are you there, Chester?
I don't know, y'all.
Y'all?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm worried about a toll getting established. Even in the failed peace deal that was proposed, Iran was going to get to establish a toll. Now, if Iran gets to establish
well, hold on. So let's say they establish.
Well, screw that. I'm getting a toll.
If they establish a toll, how is? Listen, Chester. Just listen. I got a simple question. Give me a simple answer. If they establish a toll, how is that going to affect your life?
The cost of global goods will go up. What's to stop other countries from also establishing tolls at the Malacca Strait, the Danish Strait, the Strait of Gibraltar, all the countries.
Strait of
That's
Gibraltar.
one of America's core tenets has been opening trade routes around the world. If we fail here, it's going to start breaking down.
Well, we're winning here. There is no toll. There is no toll.
$300 billion to Iran, we're winning?
We didn't give them 300 cents.
Where'd you get that idea?
Rachel Maddow?
The news.
Probably.
All the news, all the fake news. We didn't give them any money. Nothing.
Spent so much money to bomb them, and now we're going to make sure that they get rebuilt.
No, we didn't give them any money.
Dude, do you know
these calls only work if you. Let me help a little bit. If these calling in to talk radio only works if you know what the hell you're talking about.
Well,
which in your case, obviously the answer is no.
I do.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, I appreciate the call. Well, we got to run. We got to run. It's time for our last break of the day.
Try me again sometime, Chester.
Oh my goodness! After you've educated yourself, it's the summertime, and in Florida, it's beautiful, isn't it? And you're more active over there.
You want some background music?
No, I'm just.
Summertime.
I think the spot works better without the music.
No music?
No music for this spot. No.
It's free.
No.
Okay.
And we're running out of time. I don't have much time.
Go ahead.
But
I don't want to be insensitive. Go ahead.
No, we're almost out of time. I got a lot to do, Steve, and the clock is ticking. But, over the summer, you probably want to be more active. But if you're in pain, you can't be more active. That's it. And you want to go see Dr. Appleton. Dr. Appleton, his laser away pain treatment works. His robotic laser actually repairs the damage that's causing the pain. If you believe that part of aging is living in pain, you could not be further from the truth. It is not. I used to think that because I remember my grandparents, when they were my age, they were aching, they were in pain all the time and complaining. Well, Dr. Appleton wasn't around with the robotic laser away pain treatment in the 70s and the 80s. It is there. It repairs the damage that causes pain. He's rid me of pain 7 times, including arthritis pain, and the pains have never returned. The consultation is free, and appointments are never necessary, even on Saturdays. Call Dr. Appleton and say bye-bye to your pain. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. All right, Stephen, put you on hold. Hold on. Oh, awesome. Great. offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with this morning's gold and precious metals report. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking today?
Metals looking weaker after yesterday's losses also, as the war in Iran and against the United States continues. The oil prices shooting up back over $73 a barrel, and bond prices moving lower, pushing 10-year rates back up to one-month highs. This is all putting a lot of pressure on the markets and concern for these markets. Gold yesterday down $59.20 at $4,104.80 on the close, after trading in a range of $4,091 all the way up to $4,181. Silver down $2.09 yesterday, closing at $59.84. Platinum was up $7 at $1,636. And palladium was down $6 at $1,247. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $4,040 on the low, on up to $4,135, and right now we're at $4,081. That's about $24 down. $4,081 on gold, $58.45 on silver, down $1.39. Platinum down $56 at $1,580. And palladium down $47 at $1,200. What do these numbers mean? Well, palladium still finding good support around $1,200. Platinum supporting around $1,500. Silver back down to its lower levels. And gold, which could not break through the 4,200, or got up to 4,200 the day before yesterday, and then was not able to break through that resistance level, pulling back down to its lower levels with support around $4,000 right now.
Yeah. Okay. So and what are you recommending with these incredible sale prices? What are you recommending to buy right now when it comes to gold and silver?
Actually, both gold and silver are looking very good. Like I said, gold should have some good support around $4,000. So you got probably minimum downside there, with good upside potential towards the $5,000-$6,000 number before the year's out. Silver at $58 an ounce seems to be a screaming buy opportunity.
Absolutely.
And platinum around $1,500, which has had good support, is a very good value also. So it's a great time to be accumulating the metals once again at what may be bargain levels.
Absolutely. Well, listen, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. Give him a call, toll free, 800-327-5010, 800-327-5010, or stop in. And remember, at William Youngerman's, all the metals are always available in person for immediate delivery at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. And find both his address and phone number online at williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll touch base tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day. Thank you.
All right, take care. All right, we're back. You back with us, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, today it sounds like a great time to start loading up on gold and silver again. Those are awesome prices.
Yes, definitely.
Excuse me. There's a lot of impatience. This is a strange thing. There's so much impatience in the country. The attention span is at its lowest level in history in this country. And it has to do with all the internet stuff. They used to talk about attention spans and everything when it came to television, Steve. But now with TikTok in particular, the attention span is about 2 to 3 seconds. And, the situation with Iran is so under control. It may not seem like it, but it is. We've had nothing but an air campaign. We've had a very minimal loss of life, and a huge chunk of that was on day one. They got a lucky shot in that first rocket attack when they threw rockets everywhere, and one of them was a refueling accident with our planes. So we've had a minimal loss of service personnel, and we have a country on their knees. You just got to be patient. President Trump's fighting a war in a way that it hasn't been fought before, and it may take a little longer, you think, but actually a ground invasion would prolong things much longer and be much worse, and of course, massive loss of life for us probably, right? I don't know. I just, out of all the wars we've been in my life, I just trust Trump enough to know that he knows what he's doing and it's going to work out. There's no way.
I hear you, and I hope that now that once they decide to resume fighting a war, maybe things
Exactly.
will start appearing better.
Stop with the ceasefires.
Yeah, it's been a lot of.
Yeah.
I can live without the ceasefires.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike in North Lauderdale. How are you?
All right, Mike.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, I think enough is enough already. I mean, all we hear from Iran, the news especially, is that the people are against the regime and everything. Meanwhile, for this funeral that they just had, I saw tens of thousands of people still chanting "Death to America, kill Trump." So enough is enough. Let's get this over with. Make the region safe. Get the oil prices down, and get rid of the whole regime and the people. The people are not for America. They hate America, and people just.
I think the people are split. The people are split. The people are split. But they have a lot of professionally trained people that go around and they're trained to talk to TV cameras to do a hard line for the regime. But I don't believe all that. And I think a lot of the thousands of people you see out there are sympathetic with the regime.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So you have a mix.
So enough is enough with the peace talks. They're not going to ever come to the table and be serious. And Trump should realize that.
Well, President Trump said today that the talks are a waste of time. And I'll tell you this strategy. You know, remember General Kane is the military strategist that destroyed ISIS like in 2 days. Remember that? He told the story. So what they did in this last string of bombings was really a trap. They set up a trap. We bombed the daylights out of them. Then we destroyed everything. We had this long ceasefire. The last attacks, they have been regrouping whatever they could scrap together and put together back in military units, and we just blew all of it up. So we blew up whatever they were able to salvage from the first rounds of attack. So maybe this has been part of the military strategy that General Kane has been using the whole time. Maybe things have gone exactly as President Trump and his team planned.
Well, I'd like to feel we're in a new era here.
Mm-hmm. All right, caller. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call.
Okay.
All right, take care. All right. You have a good day. You understand what I mean, Steve? Now that we blew up everything they regrouped. So they can't have any weaponry left to speak of. All right, hang in there. Let me see here. All right, you want to take another call?
Yes.
Or two? We're running.
I think they get a steady supply of help, both financial and weapon-wise, from our enemies who supply them on a regular basis.
That's
everything.
That's
I don't
true.
think we've ever been able to really cut them off.
Yeah.
Despite our best efforts.
Now, before we go back to the phones, I want to talk about life imaging. You know, life imaging's FDA-approved, state-of-the-art scanners can help detect heart disease and even some cancers before any symptoms appear. So, you know, you can be proactive, you can be informed, and you can save your life. And you want to do this. I tell you guys, you know, Steve, I got a call live on the air from a guy who found out he had a tumor because he went to Life Imaging FLA. And it was a pretty nice size one too. He had no idea. He's able to go to his doctor and get it taken care of. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine over the weekend who went over to Life Imaging and had the scan, and they found out about some things that they're very glad they found out about. I don't want to say what it is because we were with a group and I don't want them to you know, I don't want to give away their info that they told me, but they had some things they had no idea about. And that's what Life Imaging is all about, proactive healthcare. They have locations in Palm Beach, in Broward, in Dade, and Orlando. Call Life Imaging FLA for your free heart scan now with a few minimum requirements valued at $699. From your cell, call pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. All right, the countdown has begun, but we'll squeeze in a call or two. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah,
you going to hang up on me or let me talk? I thought you
No, I'm going to hang up on you. No. I'm going to hang up on you to answer your question. We're about out of time for today. Well, when they ask a question like that, what are we supposed to say?
That was good.
Yeah. You know, I want to say this. I tell this to people off the air sometimes. Some of you in the audience think that I'm rough on the callers. I am, Steve, you make me look like the nicest man that's ever walked this earth with the way I've seen you handle callers.
Well, yes, it's a special skill.
Steve, when it comes to callers, Steve takes his heart out before he takes calls. So if you guys think I'm rough on the callers, oh my goodness, you know when you're in it's oh my goodness. All right, well listen, if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. And if you're on hold, you'll be first in line on tomorrow's show. But I will say this: when the president said the deal is a waste of time, those are some of my favorite words I think I've ever heard President Trump say. You know, I'm so tired. My whole life I've been hearing about Iran, and I think we're finally, Steve, approaching that point where we're not going to have to hear about Iran anymore. You know, and yeah, it will be nice. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. The longest running radio show, indeed it is, in the state of Florida. My name is Brian Craig. Steve Kane, of course, has been here. Will be here tomorrow morning live at 6 a.m. God bless Donald Trump. See you then. All right. Now, those of you on hold, I got to run, so I'm not sure if I will be here this afternoon taking your calls. And if you've not already done it, please like the video, guys. When you like the video, that really helps spread the word about the channel. When you like the video, it gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found the channel, and that's always very helpful. So please like the video before you go. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll see you